then put them back on again. So I can't lose them when I'm at the shop, when I'm at the forge. It's like, okay.
Good point. I have started the broadcasting and all of the... Oh, crap. It's had a lot more resin on it than I realized. And then my finger's gross. Ow, that's the one I just cut. That was dumb. Okay. Oh.
So I shared with Lunk and I shared with Zach.
Hopefully.
I invited both of them through Facebook Messenger. Lunk said he's working on a project right now, but he was going to try and turn on Discord while he's working on the project so he can listen in.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, Zachary just always wants to know what's going on. So he's a daddy's boy, and I'm proud to say it.
Not a bad thing to be.
He says, "What are you doing, Pops?" "Well, we're doing this." "Oh, cool. I want to listen in."
Please just.
Are you sure about that? You want to learn about all this shit?
Go to Bill's Twitch channel. I need the subscriber.
I was like, I keep warning the boys. "Do you really want to know what goes through the old man's head?" He says, "Well, you married Mom." I said, "That's why you really don't want to know what goes through the old man's head." You understand the mistakes I have made.
Babes.
That's right. You recognize the mistakes that I made.
Oh, you guys just about ready?
Sure.
Hello and welcome to the Supreme Council of the Master Geeks Lodge. I am Bill Kelly, Hornswoggle the Great, one of your many hosts on this voyage, and with me I have...
It's up to you. You're in the upper corner.
Oh yeah, Ron, sorry.
Hey, I'm Ron, all-around good guy.
Probably the best explanation of you I could ever do.
That's actually 100% accurate. You're like awesome at everything. I'm so jealous. I've known you my whole life. So.
I am Rob the Blacksmith.
Anything else? But I'm sorry, Rob. Stepped on you.
No. I would say I'm Rob the Blacksmith, often found with either a piece of hot steel or flaming tobacco amongst my.
What were you saying, Ron?
Oh, I was saying all-around good guy was George of the Jungle. That was the way he was described.
All around good guy, George.
All-around good guy.
Jungle, strong as he can be. Hello and welcome to episode 31. I'm way more excited about this than the rest of them. Guy will be joining us at 6. Chris is at work, and your son, hopefully Zach, will be joining us. Lunk was detained with a project. He might be able to join us later. Today is National Be Somebody Day. I still don't know what that is. National Lamington Day, which is a tea time treat in Australia. National Junk Food Day. I totally support this 100%. National Legal Drinking Age Day. Oh, yeah. They say alcohol is the most social drug, but I kind of disagree. I think marijuana holds that. Alcohol's number 2, honestly, because I would rather smoke with people than drink with people. And I would smoke with someone I fucking hate, but I won't drink with somebody I hate. So I would say that... Yes?
That makes
No?
sense.
Guys?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. When you start drinking with somebody you hate, things tend to go downhill after some lubrication.
Some libations.
After rolling up in the truck, in both instances, over multiple years, I will tell you that marijuana smokers tend to be some of the best patients, and you get some of the best stories because they're laughing and jovial and happy. They may go into a fit of crying because something happened and emotions may come to the surface a little bit more pronounced, but they will roll back to more of a happy condition. Drunks, on the other hand, you really get, I will always remember the 3 types of drunk. You get the angry drunk, you get the very happy, lovable, cuddly drunk, and then you get the one that we just have to pick up and put on the gurney because he can't understand why he keeps falling asleep. We don't understand why he keeps waking.
We had a 3-person brawl at work on Saturday, and I was intimately involved with it, and alcohol was a complete and total factor. As opposed
I believe
to,
it.
well, not, hey, there's people beating each other up at the workout pool, as opposed to, as opposed to the other side, end of the spectrum, at the other end of the dichotomy, where, oh, sorry, Stella, where go to 2115, help him get back in his room. I get up there, long-haired guy, okay, I have a feeling I know what I'm getting into. Oh, man, thank you so much for coming. I just got my wife and kids into the Uber. I'm just going to chill till they get back. No problem. Happens all the time. You're at a resort. You're in a weird place. You got weird keys. There's a weird room. It's my most frequent call. Help them get back in their room. I pop the lock with my fob because I have a fob that will open every single mag lock there. I'm in. There's no negotiating. Unless the batteries are bad in it, I'm in. I open his door, and I am hit immediately in the face with a very happy cloud. He can't jump in front of me and slam the door in my face fast enough. No. Hold on, man. I need to see your ID, and then I promise I'll go away. And he immediately relaxed, because before that, his anxiety was like 9. It was like, we really don't give a shit if you're smoking in your room. If you're out running around in the pool or around in the public, oh, I'm going to come after you. But if you're in your room or on your balcony, as long as you're being cool, they don't fucking care. There's like 3 dispensaries within walking distance. So he immediately showed me his ID. Okay, thanks. And now he's completely relaxed. Isn't that so much easier to deal with?
Those are also the best people to have on your side when you have to roll into some of these instances. So when I've rolled in with PD on some of this stuff, usually nobody cared about the pot. We couldn't care less. I was more worried about the pot guy was going to tell me, or was going to actually let the cops know who it is that gave the guy next door the uncut heroin. That meant we had to roll in, and now we're into a whole nother story. Because the pothead's going to be, let me help you out because this guy's screwing shit up for the rest of it.
Heroin, we had some people that were on heroin one weekend, and they were just the biggest. Yeah, potheads all the way. Don't do drugs, kids. Just stick with weed. It's fine. It's not
Back
really
in the
a
90s,
drug.
in South Glendale, we had somebody who put some really bad heroin on the street.
South Glendale is almost Maryvale, dude.
Well, it was, and this was in the early 90s, and it was summertime. It really got bad because this stuff got out, and I don't know what it was being cut with and how much it was being stepped on, but it wasn't much. And we were running 3 and 4 calls a shift, rolling in on people. It became a matter that the hospitals were giving doubles of Narcan to all of the trucks because we just knew we were going to use it every time we walked in. What's this one?
Yeah.
Same story, same opera, different act. Okay. And it got bad. I mean, we lost as many as we saved that summer from this. I mean, this one was bad. And to this day, I don't remember what the final outcome. I know PD was beyond upset. I mean, they didn't like the dealing anyway. But when we started rolling in on that kind of, on a regular basis, there were rumblings that somebody was out doing it intentional as opposed to it being somebody new and screwing up. So it was bad. And when it stopped happening, that was the day we're all like, what do you mean? No heroin ODs this week? What the hell?
They finally got rid of that first package and didn't decide to redo it or something.
I don't know.
Something.
It was.
It was not a good time. That's
When
the
you
polite way to put it.
when you gave them Narcan, did they ever come up swinging afterwards? When they
Some
woke up?
would. So
Yeah.
you would get some that would come out of it, and they would generally be pissed because you had fucked up a very expensive high.
Very expensive high.
And then you would explain to them, it's like, let me explain to you something. You were dead. You were not high anymore.
You were in
You
heaven.
had crossed over. We could. I mean, it was the whole Monty Python. You were an ex-parent. Okay, you had
fucking
ceased
Americans.
to
What
be.
killed us? The salmon loaf. Sorry.
It was just. It was. Yeah, you would get them that would come out swinging. You would get them that would come out embarrassed, because the ones that were embarrassed were new to it, because they didn't know, they had no idea, and all of a sudden there's 8 of us standing around you, and they have no idea, and half of them lose control of bodily functions and everything else. So you're just like, you know what? Those were the ones that we sat and we talked to. So you first time, huh? Okay, well, we're not going to ride you hard on this one. We're going to take you into the hospital. We're going to let you talk to a counselor over there. We're going to tell you, this should be the one. This should be the closest you get to rock bottom, please, and just move forward.
Mm-hmm.
We're up on a positive note so far for episode 31. Heroin overdoses. Well, I mean, all that you're saying, Christine's father, who was a paramedic in New Jersey, southern New Jersey, pretty much, exact same thing. That it's just like the Bring Out the Dead Nicolas Cage movie, where you give, the dude is fucking dead, and then you give him Narcan, and he and his partner Pat would be like, "Arise!" And they would be like, and then, like you said, either they're like, "Oh my God," and they would start crying out of embarrassment, or they would be like, "God damn it! You know how much I spent on that fucking..." You were dead, Johnny. There was no more.
Yeah.
Because either rock stars or losers do heroin. There's no, like, in between. And honestly, only the resurgence of heroin is from the Pulp Fiction movie. Because
and the thing
they
that I
made
always
such
saw
a big deal about heroin, and the heroin's fucking stupid. All you do is throw up and pass out. That's not a fun drug. Oh my God. That's like if you're injured. You should be doing heroin.
It was always the ones.
Hurt.
It was the ones that had the long running history. So they may have started with marijuana, and then they were getting laced marijuana, and so they started getting into heavier stuff.
Like
you would see it,
like when they dip it in like formaldehyde and stuff.
Right, because they would want to get deeper into the high. They wanted to get more. They started to get used to it, and so they wanted to get more. These were usually the ones that were also having the hardest time somewhere. They wanted to escape, and you would see them go through the whole process, and they didn't. Usually, they didn't go the cocaine route. They went the heroin route because they really wanted to just disappear for a while. They wanted to melt, go away, and mushrooms were not as problematic in that respect. They were more problematic because they would wig the hell out, and then that was when we had the ones that would really start swinging, because some of those folks would get a hold of some bad mushrooms, and then you got somebody who's completely freaked out. They are just, the whole world has suddenly turned into dragons and monsters. Or
you get a hold of some good mushroom and you accidentally keep your roommates who have to work the next morning up till 2:30. I should have known better. I'm an adult. Yeah, right. No, people have varying degrees of level of. Marijuana is not a gateway drug. I would say nicotine or alcohol is a gateway drug. Marijuana is, you either enjoy it or you don't. You either focus on it or it's just something in the arsenal. It's not. Half-Baked showed the world potheads best because it's a myriad. It's varying degrees. And I would say the same thing about drug addicts. And not just working overnight at gas stations, and not just because super drug addicts have nothing else to do, so they'll just get gas at 3 a.m. and you're trapped there behind the booth, so they'll talk to you for about an hour and a half. Even if you're trying to clean the station, they just stand there and keep talking to you because they've burned their friends out and they have a addiction problem and no one will listen to them. And it's the darker part of humanity that you really don't know unless you've been raised by a parent that's an addict. You don't really know this world until you get a job where you're like, oh my God, I didn't realize how fortunate I was in life that my parents are psycho but relatively normal.
See, that's one of the things that I always wanted. I always wished we could take a certain subsection of the population and make them do a ride along overnight in a couple of these areas where they get to roll in, they get to see what happens when you roll in, and this particular person who's been steadily building up over the last 5 or 10 years, their drug use, but they took the cocaine path, and then somebody got them to slip them some meth, and then they went right off the deep end. And now you're rolling in because this person has either done something horrible to themselves or horrible to their family,
right along with
as a result of that level of,
yeah, dude, I agree with you 100%. Right along with paramedics, right along with cops, get a security job downtown or in a shit area, or get a gas station in a downtown or shit area. And also, okay, besides fucked up people growing up, 24 was the first time my eyes were opened to the growing pandemic that is oxycodone, those. For me, I had Vicodin at 14 when I broke my collarbone, being an idiot when I trashed Derek Schwartz's moped, and then later in 2005, right before we got married, I broke this bone in my. They said it was a reverse boxer's fracture. They had never seen anything like it. Dude, just give me a thing and let me go. And they gave me Percocet or Percodan or something. That I did. Vicodin made me very constipated, but it's only like 15 minutes of fun, and then I don't remember the rest, but there's pictures of me sitting on the couch at 14 in various hats. Thanks, Mom. But other than that, the Percocet, it was like, Christine was like, aren't you going to go do that? Yeah, I've been just sitting here for 5 minutes. You've been sitting there for 2 hours. What? I don't like the time dilation. But when Hannah was very young, I got the job at Safe Ride, non-emergency medical transportation. And when I filled out the application, they were all excited, and I couldn't figure out why. And then a week in, I figured out why. Oh, you're big. We're going to put you in the vans. You're going to do stretchers and wheelchairs and motorized carts. Okay. I don't get to drive the Jeep Cherokees? Oh, no. That's for the women, picking up the people that are ambulatory. You're going to pick up the people that are unconscious or screaming or non-responsive or going. Drink a lot of water, folks. Take care of your kidneys. Dialysis is the most horrible thing ever on the planet. And I watched it for 6 months, and it's fucking horrible. But it's downtown, and it's a rehab center. And it literally looked like the beginning of Death to Smoochie. And they said, go and pick up this woman. And all of a sudden, I picked up somebody's grandma in a methadone clinic. And it was because of pills. She had become addicted to painkillers and was trying to get off of it. And she can't drive anymore. is all messed up because all she does is sleep all the time. She's got a whole bunch of problems because it's easier to take the Oxycontin or oxycodone and have a cup of vodka. And, So that was my introduction to. I wanted to talk about the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon, not the darkness
We can
of
easily
prescription.
transition.
True. The darkness of prescription drugs. Sorry, what, Ron? I didn't mean to interrupt.
I was going to say we can shift. That's okay. The only thing I was going to add was I'm going to Chicago next week, and a place that had been a bar I went to a few times down the road from where I stay now is a restaurant and bar that serves cannabis instead of alcohol.
Ooh.
So I'm kind of curious how that actually works. If I have time, I want to swing by and check it out.
Let me curl my mustache at that information. Really? Cannabis, you say? There. Some random old man stopped me in Walmart today. I like it! How did you do it? Well, it's kind of like a mullet. I'm cheating. I just grew the sides out, and I flipped them up during a steampunk con, and everybody liked it, so I just kept doing it. Do you use any wax? No, just soap and water. Yeah, dude, that's the secret. Because Paul got the wax, and all he did was complain that everything tasted like the wax. Cannabis, you say. So they have, like me, when I was growing it, where I had the jar, because I had like a jar of shake, and I would just... Food tasted weird when it didn't have weed in it.
I don't know. I'm really curious. I just had driven by it and saw they had a great big sign. And I can't remember exactly what it said, but it was obvious that it was not just a dispensary. They had food and drinks. And I was talking to the guy who was with my boss about curious how that works, and because a bar is everybody understands. You go to the bar. You have a drink, and after this amount of time, you start feeling it, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. And sometimes with like edibles or stuff like that, it's longer. And so how does that work if it takes an hour for it to kick in, and kicks in for a lot longer? So I'm just curious. So let me check that out.
I would say 27 minutes, 20 to a half an hour. Well, I mean, it depends on your metabolism. You're a lot fitter than I am, so probably what? Half an hour, 45 minutes.
About a half hour usually, yeah, somewhere in that range. But that's if you're just like if I'm going by myself, I don't know if I want to sit
with your boss
at the plate.
I don't know.
He's pretty cool, but
my bosses are all three of my bosses are cool. I would love to get high with each one of them, but it's just they talk about getting high in past tense, where I tell them, "Oh, I'm going to go get obliterated now that I'm off the cloud." Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
High as a kite, baby. I mean, I'm still gonna get.
Yeah, it's one of those things I try to keep those separate.
Well, no, cause I understand that because there was the other day I went to the gas station, the Circle K at 40th Street in Thunderbird, and a really heavy set guy that normally works night was working in the morning. So I was getting coffee and beef jerky, and he's like, "Do you want to eat Jim Beam?" Because see him every few now. I'm like, oh, no, thank you, because it was super early. It was like 5:30. Yeah, oh, that's right. He hadn't gotten off yet. And I'm like, oh, no, bourbon is for the night. If I start drinking now at 6:30 in the morning, I'm not going to get anything done. I'm going to be passed out by 11, and then I'm going to wake up furious at myself. No.
Mm-hmm.
Booze is for the night. After all the work is done, weed is for all day and all night. And he says, oh, I can't smoke weed. And it started to get busy, so I really didn't have enough. I always want to ask, because like 1 or 2% of the population develops, after decades of smoking weed, some kind of problem with it, or they just have an aversion to it. They're just, and that's usually like me growing up. It's like my mom, oh God, devil's lettuce, jazz cabbage, blah, I'm allergic. My father, well, you see, you got to understand, you see, people what's your not taking it? Is that your mother calling? Is dinner ready? And then I found out later, oh, God, yeah, I tricked him into. I had a whole bunch of weed in jars from the dispensary, and I laid them all out in front of him. And I said, okay, this is the stuff I grew. This is Bud Light. This is seeds I've been hiding since the 90s, and we didn't know what this was. It just came from Mexico, and could be sativa, could be indica, could be a hybrid. Nobody fucking knows. It's just everybody used to throw seeds away, and I used to run around picking them out of ashtrays and garbages, and anyway, that's not important now. So I've been experimenting with growing, and then I said, this is like bronze tier, silver tier, gold tier, platinum tier. This stuff is called. Oh, and then I gave him some, like, I think it was purple apricot or granddaddy purple, some like super stinky dank indica. And he opened the jar and he's like, oh God, that is pungent. And I said, yeah, this isn't the stuff that you smoked right when you got back from Vietnam in 68, 69. 68, yeah, no, this stuff stinks. Jesus Christ. Ha ha! Got him! I got him! Nah, there's nobody. It's just him and me standing. I got him to admit that he smoked weed right when he got home. Because all his friends at school were the bad boys, and like 4 or 5 of them became cops. That guy Joe Joyce that he always talks about, he was super bad guy. He became a cop.
Just easier sometimes.
Yeah, Joe was cool. I have little kid memories of Joe. He was fun. Because I was older than his son, so Joseph. He was a weatherman near Philadelphia. So sorry. Anyway, so yeah. Heroin is bad, kids. Don't do it. Stick with weed. Much better. You get more bang for your buck. You get stuff done. Weed isn't a drug. It's more of like rosemary or pepper. It's the best spice. Like free. Free is an amazing spice. You sprinkle free on anything, people eat that shit up. They don't even have to like it. Yeah, they'll take it. They don't even have to like it. They'll give it to somebody else because it was free.
Very true. So the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon? Are you talking about the one from the 80s?
The Dungeons and Dragons cartoon that lasted about 2 years, that had 6 characters, and Donnie Most and Adam from 8 is Enough, and for me, it's like the guy Alan Oppenheimer was the voice of Ming the Merciless in the Flash Gordon cartoon, and then he was the voice of Skeletor in the He-Man cartoon. And he even uses that through life. He's like, if I'm having trouble at the airport, or he'll just say, ow, and then He-Man. And people will all of a sudden like freak out. They're like, Skeletor? Because it's ingrained in us. It came out when we were like 11, 12. So we were watching the cartoon when we came home from 5th and 6th grade, after you got your homework done. So Venger is also the voice of Optimus Prime. And I've always liked him as Venger more because I think he had more fun playing a villain. Because, heroes are badass, but villains are more fun. They get to do whatever the fuck they want. It's a blank check for mayhem. So there's a lot of theories about the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon, and I posted on the Supreme Council Facebook page both. I think I did both. I think I did the 10 theories, and the very last episode was written, but it was never recorded or animated. And it explains that Venger is actually Dungeon Master's son, and he's kind of under this curse, and his spirit is trapped, that he's kind of like he followed an evil lord who kind of like made him it's not a revenant, but it's close, in service of him and all that jazz. So
he got him addicted to heroin.
This is why you need to be on every episode, sir. But it the most of the theories go with the fact that they're killed at the beginning of the ride, and all of the 2 years of episodes are them going through purgatory, or Dante's Inferno, or one of them is that it's a cartoon, it's a kid's cartoon. So, even though Diana and Sheila are incredibly sexy dressed, they've taken away lust, and the six of them are the six deadly sins: gluttony, sloth, pride. What are the other ones? Envy, gluttony, sloth, pride,
Read?
greed.
No.
Uh, wasn't that gluttony?
I was going to or empty.
That's biblical stuff. Anyway, so one of them is that Bobby isn't real. The little brother that Sheila, the thief, the 13-year-old with the super short skirt and the sexy high boots, who's a precursor to what Sailor Moon will be, where you're like, I shouldn't be fucking turned on by this. This is wrong. Oh my god, I gotta like figure shit out. What's wrong with me? But one of them is that Bobby doesn't exist, and they talk about how Sheila focuses on rescuing him, but when he's in a situation when it's all of them, he kind of fades into the background. I don't know. I would go one step deeper, and I don't know if the two of you have read the series. I read, I think, the first 6, and it's by Joel Rosenberg, called Guardians of the Flame. Oh, there's a dog alarm. Guardians of the Flame by Joel Rosenberg, and I own the first 3 or the first 6, I believe. And it's a story about college kids who are playing Dungeons and Dragons, and their professor is the DM, but really he's not a DM and a professor. He's really the wizard from the world of the role-playing game that they're from, and he transfers their psyche and their personality, or their egos, into their characters' bodies. So one focus is that there's one kid, Michael, who has severe MS, multiple sclerosis, where he is confined to a chair. So in the game, he plays a dwarf called Ahira Bandylegs. So he goes from being confined in a chair and having to have somebody take him to the restroom and care for all of his needs, bathe him, all those things, because his individual condition is that severe, where he's now a dwarf, and like they rarely run into the other dwarves, and when they do, he can't really relate to them because he's not really a dwarf. He's a human pretending to be a dwarf. So later in the series, he becomes a raging alcoholic, because even though he's like this hero, he's still kind of he feels like an outcast. And a lot of other stuff happens. The main focus of that book series is slavery instead of like power and things like that, because it's like Americans that go to the Middle Ages and they're like, slavery exists, and they start abolishing slavery. So, well, fuck yeah, the Middle Ages world is going to step in line behind that. They don't want slaves, and they're in charge of everything. Oh no! Stop worshiping us. We're doing Guardians of the Flame. It's a good series. It was written in, oh god, I don't know this. Oh, why do I always talk about stuff that I haven't done the research on for?
I'm guessing late 80s.
Joel Rosenberg,
87.
Guardians of the Flame. I don't. You're probably right, Rob. You're usually right, Rob. You and Rob are usually right. I read it a long time ago in the 90s.
Yeah, because I was going to say that theme hit would have hit about that same time frame because that was a, a secondary a return to the uh, human trafficking and all of that started to pop up again,
80,
started to come to the forefront.
sorry,
No,
eight,
no,
83, 84, 85, 87, 88, 91. So
Wow.
you are both correct. I couldn't remember. I've read a lot of fantasy, and they all kind of jumbled together. One of my favorites is Edding's The Belgaria and the Malorian, and that has a slave theme in it because the main character, he's a slave. He's a scullery boy. That the part of the land he lives in is very slack on servants. The servants eat at the same table as the master. So even though they're owned, they're kind of equals. They're indentured servants, but they have a contract that will expire at a certain time. So does that the Belgaria and the Malorian is fucking awesome. I'm really surprised it's never. That's the one I forced on Nick, your son, Ron.
Mhm. Yep. I read a bunch of those too.
Oh, good.
Most of them. Yeah.
I mean, it's dated.
They're good. They're really. They were. Yeah. It was dated and a little older, but really great stories and really engaging and kind of sucks you in and keeps your interest and all that stuff. So it was really really good.
I have the other. I've got two of his other series, but I've just never read them. 'Cause the one guy at work is like, "You read?" I'm like, "Not so much anymore." But when I was younger, yeah, I read all the time. Once I found books that I enjoyed, when I was forced to read in school, it was only the stuff that really interested me. But later, I think it was The Hobbit or probably Dragonlance. Like Chris Smith at our school gave me the copy of Dragonlance, the first one, because he was like really into Dragonlance. And I'm like, yeah, it's a good. And then of course The Hobbit. The problem is that I tried to pick up Fellowship of the Rings in my senior year. Yeah, it's tough. It's real. I had to, yeah. But then other series. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I think I've tried 3 different times to read the Lord of the Rings series and just
Just watch.
you're right. It's just tough.
Just watch the Jackson movies. It's fine.
yep. I did. I got through The Hobbit. I struggled my way through The Lord of the Rings. The Silmarillion was the one that I could not keep straight. Could not follow it all the way through, and
I
tried
have
it
it.
3 times that I can remember. It's like, okay, all right, this and this, and I, if I was to read it today, I'd have to set up one of the rooms, and it would look like one of those conspiracy theory nuts in every television program. Because okay, I've got the purple rope, purple yarn's going to go here, and then the green yarn's going to go over here, and
That's what I do when I was planning out comic books. Like this wall would be covered in 3 by 5 pieces of paper that I cut out. Okay, this guy and this, and then he comes and he fucks him over, and then anyway. Yeah. But I I have to rewatch the cartoon because I remember a lot of it, but that was 40 years ago. A refresher is definitely in order, and it makes sense too because when they go through the whole sins, Hank, the ranger, the oldest of them, well, he and Eric are the same age. The blonde ranger, played by Willie Ames, who is famous for Charles in Charge. Wasn't he in the Zapped movie too? Which is why they
yeah,
I think it was.
made a
Yeah.
show. Well, he and Scott Baio had really good chemistry, so it only made sense that they were in a movie together, and then they were in a show together that lasted for years. I. The problem with being a teenager and being in America in the late '80s and the early '90s is, did you see the show Oh, I really wanted to see it, but I was at work. Like Parker Lewis Can't Lose. Did you see it? I saw one episode, but all the other times I was at work. So I never saw the show. I saw the episode where Kubiak swallows the pigeon and Parker's sister bumps into him and frees the pigeon. And he's like, "Oh, you have saved me. I am your servant now." And she's like, "Go away." And he's, what is he, like a defensive lineman? Or he's just huge. He's on like ER or something like that. The actor played many other roles, but he just happened to be,
Oh yeah.
yeah. He was like the giant guys that we went to high school with. He was just like perfect for this role. And then, anyway.
I'm just remembering back to that was the cartoon that us older folks were watching because we were D&D players, and that was targeted at the tweens and the preteens and stuff like that. But there were the high school kids that I would play D&D with, and we all watched that. We all watched that cartoon series, and we would openly talk about it. Because she'd wait, "Oh, you guys are geeks." "Yes, we are. Thank you very much for noticing. We appreciate it. You can go over there now."
Yeah. You're a nerd. I can't be a nerd. I have social skills. Geeks have social skills. Nerds don't have social skills. They argue a point long after you've walked away. That's funny because, from our point of view, born in 1972, Dungeons and Dragons was like, "Wow, they're using that monster. Wow, they use that." For the older guys, it would be like, "That's way more dangerous than what." "Well, it is for kids. That thing would have killed them." "Well, it is for kids." "Tiamat, first, are you kid?" "Well, it is for kids."
Our was just the fact that we got to have the cartoon.
Yeah.
Because you got to remember, I grew up on Wallace and Ladmo, watched Wallace and Ladmo to the very last episode, Rona Don't. And to give you background on that, Grandpa grew up on Gold Dust Charlie, who was the first kids show. And Bill Thompson worked for Gold Dust Charlie and became Wallace on Gold Dust Charlie.
Wow.
Then it became It's Wallace, and Vladimir Kwiatkowski was a cameraman on that program. And they needed somebody to do little bits, and he was up for it. He was a football player, and he was, rough and tumble, and so he could do all the stunts, all the rest of that stuff, and then that's when Ladmo was created after that. They're like, "Okay, we got a guy who's willing to do it. He loves to do it. He can work. He can cover 4 bases for us. Perfect."
It's funny, the evolution of kids shows, because my father talked about Slim Pickens and Pluck Your Magic Twanger Froggy, and how Froggy and Slim Pickens, and it was like a auditorium show, and it was live, and Froggy was like a villain character who lived in a clock, and he was this rubber frog, and he would but also my mom and talked about my mother and father talked about Lunch with Uncle Pete, which was with Peter Boyle Sr., not Peter Boyle of Young Frankenstein and Everybody Loves Raymond's father. And it was a kid's show. And at one point, he had an easel with a big piece of paper, and he would pull a random kid out of the audience and give him a magic marker. And the kid would make a squiggle and sit down. And then he would make a animal out of the squiggle. A cartoonish animal out of the... So the Boyle family has been artists and actors and, for a long time. So it was there... Because I remember Captain Kangaroo. I remember the Great Space Coaster. My earliest memories of childhood are Godzilla and the New Zoo Review, which was on the East Coast, but not so much on the West Coast. and it was your standard silly songs and giant. There was a hippo and Henry. Anyway, but also the king, the man, the legend, which we need him now today more than any time else, which would be Fred Rogers and Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Because Lady Elaine Fairchild was terrifying when you're 4 years old. I'm scared.
That's right, Mr. Rogers, the only mortal who could lift Thor's hammer, and we all know it. We all know it.
I agree. Agreed. He's deserving of Thor's hammer.
The only one who could walk over, pick it up, toss it in his hand, and say, there you go.
I'm glad they have that one meme that I repost time and time again, and I know everybody's sick of seeing it, but sorry, 500 times more is 500 times more, with Fred Rogers, Bob Ross,
Oh, the one with
Steve
Frank Oz
Irwin.
and all the rest of them?
Well, no, it's the four.
Oh.
Steve Irwin.
Okay.
Now you got me stuck on Frank Oz. Thanks. No, it's. I think is Jim Henson on that. No, I post. But yeah, there's Fred Rogers is in that. You do know that he launched Michael Douglas's career, right?
No.
So Michael Douglas was on a local group in Pittsburgh. I think they were called the Flying Zucchini Brothers. Michael Keaton. Sorry, his real name is Michael Douglas. I'm terribly sorry. Michael Keaton. And he was in this group, and they did shows for kids, and they did comedy bits and kind of like physical and instructional. And they came on one episode. There's evidence of Michael Keaton being on Fred, the Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and he kept telling everybody that he's gonna be somebody. He's talented. He was Batman. He was Beetlejuice. He was Birdman.
Yeah. Mr. Mom.
You never know who people are gonna be.
Exactly.
There was a whole great generation of programming like that got picked up and developed. So you had local, but then you had those locals that built into or helped to develop the national. So you had the Electric Company, you had Sesame Street, you had Romper Room, you had all of these great programs that built from local intent to provide that kind of program, and it got picked up. People carried with it. That was probably one of the best things to come out of. Quite frankly, some of it began as early as the 50s, but the 60s and the 70s really developed those types of programs.
Yeah.
They blossomed in the 80s and carried on for decades. I mean, we only recently lost a number of those programs.
Before we get to, let's not go to now.
No, I'm not going to. I'm just saying we had some great.
Let's not do that. Sesame Street. Let's focus. We're getting really far from Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, actually, you could take this and take it there, because think about, I mean, Gary Gygax did a lot of wonderful things, and he opened people up to the ability to create some wonderful stories and some completely new realms and worlds outside of the everyday. He came up with the basic pattern. But where do you think he picked up some of that patterning? I mean, before he came up with his gaming system, you know that he had some kind of influence from Fred Rogers. Fred Rogers built an entire system. So you've got this, I'm going to take you to a whole other world, and in this world, anything can happen. You've got princes, and you've got kings, and you've got knights, and you've got witches, and you've got wizards, and you've got talking animals, and you've got all the characters.
Are you saying that Fred Rogers influenced Gary Gygax and Ed Blacksmith?
I'm saying that there's a good chance that he did have somewhat of an impact on that.
You might be onto something
but
there. I don't know.
Also, he made it possible for them to take it to, he made it possible and acceptable for them to create something that was otherwise thought of as this isn't normal, this isn't natural, this isn't the way things are. You're right, it isn't. I can go ahead and carry this forward. I can take this idea and make it something that is palatable to everyone. And I can plant the seed in your mind and let you run with it. So he would have opened up so many of the new minds that then Gary was able to provide another outlet to. So the kids that grew up on Mr. Rogers and not so much Bozo the Clown or Wallace and Ladmo or those type of local events, but they still gave the opportunity. I'm going to give you this chance. Use your imagination. Open your mind. Don't be afraid to go someplace that maybe doesn't exist or somebody else doesn't recognize or acknowledge. And then Gary's got, here's an entire realm. I'm going to give you bits and pieces and you can build out the rest. Dungeons and Dragons version 1, well, that worked out well. It wasn't hard formatted. Version 2, we're going to give some more format, but we're also going to open it up some more. Version 3, and so on.
Red box.
We're going to give you the opportunity to carry it forward. Do with it as you will.
I still stand with. I'm an old man when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons. Man, you don't need anything after second edition, man. Because I look at feats as kind of cheating. You know, you're cheating.
See, I don't know if I'm on board for cheats. It's cool and it makes it so you get to do a whole bunch of stuff and keeps people interested. But yeah, I'm gonna do this and this and this and this, and you get a whole bunch of moves.
I agree, Ron, because it's first off, since we're talking about role-playing games, I have devastating news. Imperial Outpost is closing here locally in Phoenix. I know I need to take Willow over there before it closes so she can actually see a gaming store, since they're going the way of Blockbuster and Toys R Us and Radio Shack, but there's more of them. What's the one by you? 19th Street and 19th Avenue, Cork and...
Oh, Fork and Board.
Board. Shit.
You mentioned Radio Shack. You'll never guess where there is an operating Radio Shack.
What? No.
I was in Moab, Utah. Driving through Moab, Utah, I stopped to get some food as we were driving up towards Denver. And I look across the street and there's this electronics shop for radios and equipment for the four-wheelers and the off-road boats and everything. Big sign, the original Radio Shack sign, sign on the door, Radio Shack. And I looked at it, I went, I'm home.
Why are we not preserving this building for the future? Like the bird cage down there at Tombstone. This building is sacred. I drive by the Indian Bend and 101 Toys R Us that I worked for seasonally for years. Johnny. I like Johnny from the beginning, but Johnny was very distant. And the first year I got on as permanent, and it kind of sucked because I only worked 8 hours a week, and dude, in the off season, Toys R Us doesn't have a lot of, unless there's a special thing, they don't get a lot of stuff. Once every, hey, Guy joined us. Once every other month there would be a delivery. So even though Steve and I were 2 out of 24 that were vying for a permanent position. And shortly after I got the permanent position, 8 months later, I went back to seasonal because it doesn't make sense for me to drive all the way. I could get a part-time job closer to my house and have it be more sensible. And then later I find out Johnny's like, I fucking hated you for getting the permanent job, but you're really funny and you're a good person. So I had to get over it. I'm like, oh, Sorry, I've liked you from the beginning. You're Johnny. To me, you're Johnny the Invisible Guy. You're always not. I don't mean to. That's not an insult. He was always like doing something. He was always busy. He was always. That's why it was always respect. You know, he's like, you don't have. He's like Tanner at my work now, or Wendy, or that. I don't worry when I don't hear from them, because I know they're not like sitting down and on their phone. I know they're actually doing stuff when they're not in the office. When they're in the office, they're on their phone. But when they're But yeah, it's interesting you say that. Sorry. And I agree. I don't like feats, but third, 3.5, 4, and now 5th edition, probably soon to be next 6. Stop making additions, make new planets and new worlds and new histories and new struggles and new curses and new. Stop redoing the game. The game is fine. You don't need to redo the game. Make
The
it
one thing I like about the new edition over what I learned to play it was the fact that almost everything is a D20 in the new edition. Anything you're going to do is a D20. So every once in a while you need a D6, you need a D10, whatever, but that's fine. But in the old days, it was, okay, what are you going to do? Okay, well, I'm going to be fighting this band of orcs. Okay, what are you going to use? Well, my wizard, he can use the fireball. All right, you're going to need to roll 3 D3s, and you're going to need to roll 2 D6s, and then we need to discount the 1, and then and then you need to do log division.
You're speaking
and we'll find out if
blasphemy.
you
I don't
pass.
want to hear this. Blasphemy. Blasphemy. I don't want to hear it. Go ahead.
Because now with the D20, it's like, okay, what are you going to do? All right, roll me a D20. All right, what's your modifier? Okay, you win. That was the point, I think, of it. Is it's like modern golf. If you don't play golf, in the old days, when I learned, the old days, golf was meant to be a 4-hour game. You went out, you played 18 holes. You were there for 4 hours. So
No.
Good day.
You're right.
Today, they want you to play hurry up golf. They want you to run. Don't stop. Pick that ball up. What are you doing? What are you waiting for? You need to hit the ball. Go on, keep moving. Next. Okay, come on. It's now it's become we're doing a 4K at the golf course as opposed to
go speed golf.
I'm gonna hit the ball and talk to my buddies, and we're gonna meander down the path because we're out here to have a good time. No. Now it's an exercise. You're playing golf. I want to see those knees higher. Keep going. Come on.
That's interesting that you say that, because there are those dudes. Okay, I have played miniature golf a lot, but my only experience to real golf is having to sit there and watching it on the rare occasion with my grandfather when I lived back east. Or now, well, I hang out at the golf garage because these guys, golfers drink a lot. I mean, I knew that beforehand, but holy fucking Christ. So 4.5 bags got me almost $77 the other day. Crushed. Indian School in Grandview, Paradise Lane. Yeah. So it's disgusting, but it's amazing the amount of trash that I turn into money every other week. But on the other hand, when you go to the first couple garbage cans in the beginning at hole 1, hole 2, there's nothing. By the time you get to hole 14, I'm pulling between 4 and 16 cans out of the garbage. And it just escalates to that point by the time they get back to the starter shack at hole 18 and the driving range and the dumpster, because these guys dump the trash. So I don't have to get a part-time job. I just dumpster dive.
And it's the joys of the beer cart. And they always hire pretty girls to work the beer carts, and they'll run 2 or 3 carts depending upon the course. They'll run 2 or 3 at the same time.
Okay.
Because they know they can make the money.
Ron, Guy, do you remember Juvie Orsi in high school?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
There is a girl that works. She's like 24, 25, splitting image. The first time she walked into my office, I was just staring at her, and she's like, "Hi." I'm like, "Hi." Holy crap. Are you her daughter? What the fuck? But I didn't, she kind of helps me. She started to realize that I was just freaked out by her, that I'm not a creepy old guy. But the other lady, Anita, Anita's on Anita and I, I got these many cans for you today. And you're exactly right. Anita's older. She's probably in her mid-50s. But she's attractive, and she runs around in a little skirt and drives a little cart on the thing. But the one that looks like Juvie is 25, maybe, and she's got all the right curves in all the right places, and she's got that half black, half white, look to her. She's extremely attractive. And then there's another one who's even younger and more attractive, so they know exactly what they're doing on the golf cart traveling beverage vehicle.
Yeah, because it used to be the 19th hole was it. Usually you had 9 holes, and that brought you back to the starter shack so we could get you to buy something at the outdoor bar.
Yeah.
And then you went 9 holes on the other side, came back to the 19th hole where we got your money. You came in, you were buying hard alcohol, you were doing all of that because the equivalent today, 40 years ago, I could get you to come in and buy shots, and you'd be paying $5 for a shot, and that's the equivalent of $45 today.
Yeah.
So they were making their money at the bar. Now, and I've seen some beer carts that have hard alcohol at some of the courses, some of the bigger, fancier courses, which surprised the daylights out of me when I saw it, because I thought, I don't want to give anybody scotch or vodka or tequila in the sunlight with weapons. I'm going to let you guys get drunk on beer because beer has has less alcohol by volume than that wonderful shot. And even if it's hard to water down a shot unless you can convince this guy to take a mixed drink out of your cart, which that takes time away from the person who's doing it. And now, this blew my mind. Now they're selling mixed drinks, pre-mixed drinks in cans and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
So they can push that product on the golf course. So, maybe we'll see. Well, makes me happy not to be on the trucks anymore because I don't want to be responding to the Camelback Club to pick up some guy because now he's got alcohol poisoning as well as being, he's got sun poisoning because now he drank too much alcohol, doesn't have enough water, he's passed out on the night. Terrific.
You're so correct. No, I don't want to. Yep. I talked to enough paramedics and cops on Saturday with the 3-man brawl and the Jerry Springer show on Saturday, and then Sunday, luckily, it was quiet, and then I have the day off, and then I gotta go back there tomorrow. And here's what's
that's why Dungeons and Dragons rules because
you're gonna skate.
You get all your buddies together. You're going to be in the house. You want to get blind, stinking drunk at my table? That's fine. I can put you in the corner and not worry about it. You'll wake up in a few hours, and we'll get you home.
Oh no, Bill passed out. Ron, you're going to have to play as wizard for a while. Okay.
So just remember, don't kill him off because we want him here next week.
I know he's pissing everybody off, but it's interesting. It's interesting on that note because I would have to say, after digging through dumpsters and I didn't know any better. In the beginning, I can't agree with you more about how much alcohol they consume because they make a reservation. They pay their $200 whatever to go 18 holes, about 3 hours. It's a big course. When we have to go out there and do whatever, okay, I got to go to hole 8. See you in 2 hours. Fucking Christ. I'm going to go backwards. It'll be faster. So you make your reservation. You get there. They give you your cart. You put your golf bag with all your fun clubs with all the head covers that you're going to leave all over the course. They're going to end up in my office. Sorry, and I have to lost and found. So then they're going to sell you water and alcoholic beverages there. And besides beer, because Rob, you're 100% correct on the beer, but it doesn't end there. Because
Hard liquor.
well, no, the little. Well, I had one, but
Yeah, the little chocolate.
the little shot. Tito's.
Yeah, they have.
Tito's. Now I'm unfamiliar with this vodka. I heard it's very good. It's a little more expensive than the cheap Smirnoff I would buy, but
Oh my.
eh.
Oh my God, Bill. You got to work at some of the high-end golf places because it's even worse. They're sneaking hard liquor
Oh,
in
no,
their golf bag.
Okay, we're getting to that. Hold on, just
Yeah.
what I have learned is they buy guys right. They sneak liquor, they sneak beer, they sneak because I'll be going through the garbage and I'll be like, we don't sell Bush. What the fuck? We got a 5-star restaurant at the top of the mountain. We're in the well, I love Tapatio Cliffs, but it's past its heyday. It really needs. They're redoing another road today. I'm glad I'm not there. They're doing a whole road which really needs to be redone. I'm very happy with that. They're slowly renovating this. It was built in '82 on the side of a mountain. You know how many scorpions I kill a shift?
You know what that place used to be before?
The #1 resort in the country.
Well,
All kinds of famous people came there.
Before it became the resort, that was a quarry. That area was a stone quarry.
Makes sense. I believe you.
And that becomes the interesting part.
The way everything's cut, this is not just construction. Something else was going on here. And I believe you about the quarry thing because it's like, why would they do that for a resort? That's not. Oh, now that you said that.
It's reusing the landscape like that. They got half of the holes for the pools were already dug.
Yeah.
As the city was built out towards that direction, the quarry moved further away. And that land became available.
Yeah.
But it's in the draw there, so it was not something where you could easily build a home there. The homes down below came later. But everything up on either side, that started to get picked up. And if it wasn't picked up by the state, the county, or the city to be park, the quarry was purchased and then was developed. And it went through 3 or 4 different outfits before it became a resort.
I agree. But back to the alcohol thing real quick so we can end it. I know you.
Yeah.
No, because I believe your theory on this. I believe that just because of the way a lot of things are set up, this is more like a mine than a resort. And then they kind of like fashioned it into which it's reminiscent of Bisbee.
Yep.
I mean, obviously they're 100 years or 200 years apart, but no, 100 years. What was Bisbee? 1860. Anyway, so you pick your card up, they sell you beer. You drive to the starter shack, they sell you beer. You drink beer all the way to the traveling girl thing. Then you get to the midway point. Then you get to the Eagle's Nest. You're buying beer or whatever all the way there. There is a thing called High Noon.
Mm-hmm.
It's white, pale blue, and yellow. It's vodka and seltzer water. That and the other green one with the donkey on it. Fuck, I can't remember the name of it. That's also vodka and those are the most two prevalent that aren't Coors, Michelob, Budweiser, Bush. We don't sell that. So
you know what's funny?
A
lot of high-end golf bag companies sell golf bags that have a waterproof pouch in them. So the bigger bags, you can get that. They have a built-in cooler. That the whole idea is that you can stuff a 6-pack in, fill it full of ice, off you go.
Yep.
The saddest thing
And
about go ahead, guy. Sorry.
the other thing is too, is that so they don't get caught, they'll mix drinks out there. They'll sneak in rum
Yes.
and they'll order a Diet Coke from the
Leave
lady.
it in the
They'll mix it there and drink it. They'll make rum and Cokes. They make a Bacardi and 7. They'll order a 7-Up. They have the Bacardi in there. And just like Rob was saying, they'll have those specialized ice coolers that will come in with the golf bag.
Yeah.
They'll put in the Bacardis or a couple of drinks in it, or seltzers, or Robert Palmer's, and put them in there. And just make the drinks, have the beer. So you see they're drinking alcohol, but then they make the mixed drink and do the shots out in the hole, and they'll bet on it. They'll bet. I bet you can't drink. There here you go. You got to take a shot if you miss.
Yes.
Or you're gonna duff it.
Well,
and that's the whole thing.
Remember, 7th Street and Thunderbird. These guys are very crafty, and the golf crew sends guys out that are working to golf, but they're not really golfing a real game. They're golfing to watch the golfers because they have a radio for us, and they're like, security, there's a homeless guy out here. Security, there's kids out here. Security, there's people arguing out here. Security, there's a guy passed out. All of that shit happens. So there is a couple abandoned businesses at 7th Street. I'm actually quite impressed with this. This is like RPG level thinking. The 4 of them get a golf cart, but they park one car in the what we call the Northwest major parking lot by Highland, and then they park the other car that has the contraband liquor in it at the actual golf cart parking lot, which is not really it'll hold 60 cars. It's all right. So that has the cases and the, like you said, pints, and sometimes it's a 750 ml, but usually it's the pints. It's not, because they have to conceal it in their shorts or, like you said, in the hidden bag. They will drive a case to the building that has the parking lot that you can literally hand it over the wall when you're going from the first hole to the second hole. There is even a doggy daycare there where you would stop for water and trash, and they hand the case over and they divide it up, and then that dude drives to the parking lot. Now here's the real kicker. If you just, and I do it all the time because I'm security, if you just drive your cart over now and turn right, now you're headed to the 18th hole, to the driving range and the parking lot. Like fucking adventurers, dude. Like, god damn it. I just should have seen this coming. Now these bastards have a lot more gold pieces and all the fucking magic. Fine. I'm just going to figure out how to take it away from you later, next session. You guys are dicks. I hope you know you're dicks.
Well, if they're good about it, they hide everything before they get to the 19th, and they throw it away in the dumpster. The real good ones don't get caught. The sloppy ones that get sloppy don't get caught easily.
Guy is speaking my language. When I'm pulling 20 beer cans and vodka and seltzer water cans out of those,
are you
they just
kidding?
Dump all those cans in there because they don't want to look like a raging alcoholic, or they don't want to look like they've had too much. Or here's the worst case scenario. Hi, security, can you come out near hole 18? We had an accident. And now some jackass ran his golf cart into one of the, structures, basically, whether it's the fountain or the building or whether. I hate this most. Like even Saturday, you guys, one of you got put in cuffs. You guys got banned from the property, but in the end, you won. I have to write a report now. God damn it. I fucking hate writing reports.
The saving grace for you is you don't have some of the really bad pitched greens, pitched fairways, like up in Flagstaff at the Flagstaff Country Club, and some of these other ones up in Sedona. you've got these really hard elevation changes, and you get the same players who are pulling the same stunts. So they're getting to the 16th hole.
Yeah.
They're getting to the 18th hole, and they are polluted. They have had a full night's drinking in 3 hours, and they decide that they're going to, because the cart path itself has a nice meandering climb to the green, but they're going to go shooting up this side right here, and then all of a sudden, now what do you got? You've got paramedics coming because now you've got this idiot rolled the cart over. He's drunk as a monkey, but he's pinned under the cart. He's not necessarily hurt, but now we really got to write a friggin' report because I got to have fire and I've got to have the ambulance. Petey wants to be here. And
the greatest thing on the planet is like what happened on Saturday. And I went up to the, very attractive brunette officer. And she was left-handed. It's like, oh my God, will you marry me? Oh, never mind. I'm like 30 years older than you. I'm a gross old man to you. Anyway, but you can get the report number because it'll be posted online because we're security. We can get that. And she's like, oh, here you go. Here's my card with my name on it and everything. And, but it's me, and I have a cartoon brain, so like hearts are going around her, and oh, thank you. Yeah. So it's interesting with golf how much a lot of alcohol is involved in football and hockey and baseball, but for the pros and even for your local minor leagues, you're just sitting there in the fans. There isn't really that with a golf course, whether it's high end like Guy's talking about, or whether it's a more basic one.
Hey, Bill, do you have? Because I know in some of the high end ones, because my brother's been in food and beverage for a while, and I did some summers working with him, and there've been incidents in these higher end. You go to Orange Tree and some of these ones up north, True North and stuff, some of those golf courses, where they had incidents of high-end betting.
Yes.
Well, we heard people betting thousands of dollars on shots when they go, saying, yeah, you're not going to make this, you're not going to make this. And my brothers were telling me stories of people was caught doing drugs to get on the fairway, and the little nose candy and stuff on it, drinking and stuff on it. So sometimes they get money involved. They start getting a cigarette and they start betting per shot, how many rounds, where you could eagle it and so forth. So there's games out there, golf games really, where you think of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars of monies are being traveled. Especially during when they have the big golf tournament in January, like right after the Bear Jackson, where they had the waste. When that golf is there and they have other tournaments running on, it goes nuts. They are just pounding beers and like crazy.
I got so many cans.
That's one of my favorite parts of the waste management is watching the news and all the drunk people that are just way too far gone, and batting the throw on the news it's fun because I don't have to deal with it. It's lots of fun. Bill's funny. I wouldn't do that stuff.
Oh, it's crazy, Ron. It's like a concert. It's like you're going to a concert, but you can't see the band because you don't know where the band is.
Yeah.
Then you hear everybody going, and they're drinking and stuff and playing music. Then all of a sudden it'll get quiet. People will go through. A player will go through. Then they'll start playing the music and it get loud again, and people start drinking again. It only gets quiet when the person comes up to play. Yeah. Then everyone's like. Then after he leaves, okay, let's get. It's a weird thing. You really don't get into it because it's crazy. I don't understand it. I don't get it.
The safe days used to be the pro-am. You'd go out there on like Wednesday and Thursday because that was the pro-am. That was when you got guys like George Lopez would come out. You'd get all these folks would come out, and they were out there to have a good time. And they would get, people, amateurs would pay money to play with a pro and an actor and a comedian or whatever, and they would go on this little course, and it's a whole day, and you could follow whoever you wanted. That was a lot of fun. I used to take my boys, and my stepdad used to get tickets every year. But it got bad when they changed the Eagles Nest out there. Because you had for decades the Thunderbirds used to manage what became the party tent, and it was a very nice setup. I mean, you paid good money. You paid the equivalent of $300 or $400 a seat to be there, but you were dressed to the nines to be there for the final day, for the dinner on Saturday night, for the final round of play on Sunday. And it was very much like going to the Masters. You know, you wouldn't hear the music, you wouldn't hear any of that. But as time went on, Waste Management picked it up, and they opened it up, and the Eagles Nest became a party tent. And they brought out bands, they brought out all kinds of concert things. Then, you know, Friday, Saturday and Sunday became crazy. And that was when my stepdad said, nope, I don't want tickets for the weekend anymore. I'll take the Pro-Am tickets and I'm done. Because it just got too wild.
Mhm.
I believe it. Yeah, I definitely believe it.
Golfers are.
Hey, Bill, I got a question.
I got
Do you out on the course? Do you get a lot of lost golf clubs, putters, and all that?
many.
Oh man,
I
if you can get those after a time that nobody claims them, take them and sell them, because anything with golfers, sometimes their golf equipment is expensive. Some of those golfs, ping and stuff, you can make some good money on those.
We're gonna get off this subject right now, but yeah, that's okay. Here's the rule of thumb at the hotel, and the golf course. If you let's say they leave behind a golf club head cover, and it's a Panda Bear, okay, right? Panda Bear for a 5-iron or any of the irons, any old iron, anyway. So the golf crew will find it, like you said, on the course or inside the cart, and they will turn it in. And honestly, they've got 30 days to reclaim it. But there's only 2 types of items that are lost. Dudes that forgot them and call back the next day, the next weekend, within a week, on a random Thursday. And then there's the never get a call again because they want new equipment. So we can't give the stuff back fast enough. But after 30 days, the item that was turned in goes back, unless if it's a head cover or a club or something like that, that item goes back to the person that it turned in. If it's jewelry or expensive electronics or over a certain dollar value, it goes 90 days and then back to the person that turned it in. Most of the time.
Oh, so the person that turned it in.
Yeah. Housekeeping and the golf crew and the pool crews and everything, they're really good about turning stuff in because they want it in 30 or 90 days. And they're banking on the fact that the people aren't going to call in. Because you wouldn't believe the amount of shit that we give to Goodwill on a monthly basis, because it's a monthly routine. And every night I switch out. Oh, it's July 20th. It's time to put away, that July 20th and take out June 20th and take it back up so it can be divvied out to, oh, this is for Maria, this is for, seriously, every time. Oh, it's Marie, because there's like 5 Marias that work there. Take a letter, Maria, address it to my wife. And I work with a bunch of 20-year-olds and a couple 30-year-olds, so they're like, R.B. Greaves, Maria. Hey. Never mind. I'm old. Never mind.
Well, you talk about that. I had to call a team meeting. My manager is out on leave, so I've been covering her schedule. So I had to pull in a team of 15 IT techs, and I'm the old man. So I decided, with things going on and everything that's happening inside and outside the organization, I decided I was going to start the meeting with an upbeat song.
Oh, no.
And I put a picture up. I started with Mr. Blue Sky from ELO.
ELO, yes.
There's 2 guys in the team who recognize the song, and they're all like, yeah, okay, that's cool. Let's play it orchestra. Yeah. Everybody else like, what's this?
What?
Unless they watch Guardians of the Galaxy, they wouldn't.
And it's funny because a couple of them said, I think I know this song. I think I know this. And one of the other guys said that. He said, so you watched Guardians of the Galaxy? Yeah. This is called Mr. Blue Sky. And
Why do you think that you said that? Because when I was working and the first one came out, when they had Redbone, and they were playing, they're like, oh, this is an awesome song. It's a new song. And I went, no, it isn't. It's an old song. They said, really? And they said they saw it from Guardians of the Galaxy. And I said, no, here's Redbone, 1974. Let me play it for you. Is this it? Oh, that's it. They didn't even realize it was an old song. They just thought it was cool in Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's the good part.
And they're natives. It's not even, it's not even your typical rock band, guys. Wait until you see what the band looks like. You won't know what to do with yourselves.
No. A lot of people didn't even know Fleetwood Mac was in the second Guardians until I played Change. And I played the song that they haven't got. And then they were like, that's Fleetwood Mac. I go, yeah, that's Fleetwood Mac. That's in Guardians of the Galaxy too. So a lot of people got introduced. They don't know. They love the music. They just don't know where it came from or the origin of it. They just think it was made for the movie.
It's a 30-year gap. Well,
30-year gap, yeah.
Fabian and I and even Tanner were talking about it, and I had this realization a little while ago, and I know I talked to them. Sorry to repeat myself, but I'm an old man. That happens a lot. We're the past now. We can hand the torch over. That's okay. That's not a bad thing. That's the whole point of the next generation. But I don't know who these... I've reached the age... Okay, especially the 4 of us, I've reached the age now, when I was about 10 or 12, when my father would randomly walk into the room on a weekend night or a weeknight and look at the television and see an old actor on the television and go, that's so-and-so from such and such. What? Yeah, he was in that movie in 1969 and he did this and that and I saw that and that was a good movie. What the fuck are you talking about? And that first happened with my kids. Recently at work, all of a sudden we were talking about when prop ops and other departments check out a radio. What does he say? Radio. And the one guy's like, oh, you know this guy? What is that? Mexican radio. Yeah, Mexican radio. Wall of Voodoo. What, 1982? No. 2012, this rapper guy. So he like sampled part of the song. And Omar's fucking awesome. He's like 25 and why? He's like a 70-year-old repairman put in like a 25-year-old body. He's got like 5 kids and 3 baby mamas, and I love talking to Omar. He's just awesome. He's another one of those souls you meet. It's like we were friends really close in another life. I'm getting that. We're just kind of like work buddies, and maybe you'll join the group later, but the best line is from the song The Rainbow Connection. There's not a word yet for old friends that just met.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, the older I get, the more that line in that song makes sense.
Dude, that's so funny. Because you're doing the same thing your dad did. It's funny with the movies and stuff.
Yeah.
You catch yourself. Sometimes you're like, oh, damn it. I'm doing this. I sound just like my dad. You catch yourself. And the older we get, we become more like our dads. We actually honestly do become more like our dads.
Well,
The older we
You
get.
brought up Peter Boyle and his father.
Lunch
The
with Uncle
first
Pete.
thought that came to my head? Alan Hale Sr.
Oh,
and then Alan Hale Jr.
Yeah.
And I remember growing up on that stuff. It's every cowboy movie you ever
And
saw
Robin Hood.
had
And
Alan Hale
Yep.
Sr. in it because he was a great gorilla. And then Alan Hale Jr. came along, and I think they did a couple of programs together.
Sorry.
But yeah, and that was it. So it's kind of like you're like,
Father-son isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes it doesn't always work. Like, it depends on the individual. It also depends on the upraising of the kid. But it's, Carrie Fisher's daughter is a great actress, but she hasn't been in a lot of stuff. And same thing with the rest of. I hate to say Hollywood elite or the Hollywood alumni because you're actors, and across the board, most actors you meet, some of them are very awesome people, and I've met a lot of famous people, and most of them were super cool, and some of them are just kind of like dealing with their own demons. So you try not to judge.
Mhm.
We're really.
I've got a
Please.
question for the council.
You're on the
Trying
council.
to
Go
trying to
ahead.
recall a movie that I can't seem to find anywhere, but it's a movie from the probably late '60s, early '70s. So that sort of mid '70s genre, dystopian movie. And there's two guys that have escaped a prison or they've escaped something, and they both have a collar that they're wearing around their neck. And if they get too far from each other, the collar is going to blow up and their head's going to blow off.
This sounds really familiar.
And I can't find that movie. Google wants to send me to a movie called Wedlock with Rutger Hauer in like 1992, but that is not the movie at all.
a movie or is it a TV show?
I thought it was a movie. I thought that it was a movie, but I don't know anymore.
Because it could have been in a series, and I'll explain what I think maybe it, but I don't know. Was it a Western?
No. It was more like a sci-fi sort of dystopia sci-fi.
Dystopian. Okay, so early, because that's the same. That's the same as Westworld in that area. Logan's Run. Because I'm really into sci-fi. So there is a movie like that. They have a collar.
No.
You have, and they used the similar tactic in Wild Wild West with Will Smith, but that one was only repeating the same story that they had in the Wild Wild West TV show. Because they had the same problem with the collars where they couldn't leave, otherwise it would detonate or decapitate the person. So they kept them within a yard. They couldn't leave the certain yard, otherwise they would die.
Right.
So they were free to roam around, but they couldn't go beyond a certain barrier. But I'm trying to think of it like it could have been something. I think it wasn't could have been the Outer Limits because it wasn't the Twilight Zone. Outer Limits, it's in the sci-fi area of the early '70s, like with the Bionic Man, that type of era. I think I know what you're talking about, but I'm trying to remember where it was because it strikes a bell.
I was thinking it was Logan's Run, but I don't think that was because they escaped in Logan's Run, but I don't think they had that whole collar thing.
No, but
an episode with collars too.
Wait, you're all talking at the same time.
It's the same era. I think it's 19. I don't think it was late 60s. I think it was early 70s to mid 70s. I say from 71 to 74, 75.
Okay.
And
yep.
Interesting, because I think they showed. I think it was shown on TV, but it was either a movie or a made-for-TV movie, one of the two. Let me think about that. I might find something out for you on it.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, there's other movies like where there's you escape from a chain gang, and you're chained to somebody that you don't want to be with. It's that sort of story, but they're not physically chained. But they've got a proximity to each other. So if I say, screw you, Bill, I'm out of here, we both die.
Yeah.
Wait!
Yeah. No,
I gotta pay off my house. You can't leave me here.
It does ring a bell. It does ring a bell because that's still the same area of the Omega Man. That's the same Soylent Green. And do you remember any of the actors that were in it?
Saturn 3 and
no. Okay, I gotta think about it.
maybe
But it sounds
Outer
familiar.
Limits or Dark Room.
I think it might be an Outer Limits episode because they were about 45 minutes to an hour. They're ongoing episodic series. So it could have been something like that because each story was a little different onto its own. Or if it was a movie, it'll be something similar to that. I'll look into it. I'll try to see if I can figure that one out for you. It's got me interested.
It's in that Soylent Green, Logan's Run, that time frame. Definitely not in that time range. So that'd be cool.
It was Benji.
Yeah, because
Come
there's
Home.
one.
That's what it was.
There was one. There was one that was similar like that had Charles Bronson in it, but I have to really look to think about if it had those in it, where he escaped, and it was all pre-Star Wars.
Yeah, it sounds like Escape from New York kind of post-apocalyptic.
Yeah,
like a boy and his dog kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you also had one. You also had one with Lee Majors, and I'm trying to remember that, but that had where gasoline was out because they had a lot of those in the early 70s, and they had a lot of stars like Ryan O'Neal and so forth that starred in these movies before they hit the big time. So sometimes you would have a star in it, but it's one of the first movies that came up, and it's a low budget sci-fi, and it's always they had one with big ants. They had one. They had one where they had the Oh man,
what?
It is an apocalyptic one,
like Damnation,
and it's the one.
Damnation Alley,
and
a boy and his
like
dog, and what's another good one?
Yeah, it's the same vein and same era.
I love all those.
Yeah. So I remember it's got to have something like an old actor, but it's not Rutger Hauer. But Rutger Hauer did star in a lot of it, and that's that's what led to a lot of other sci-fi later. Damn, that's a good one. I got to go through my.
It's more like the actors. This was not him, but the actors would be more like a Steve McQueen, that sort of a no mustache, no facial hair, kind of a light brown to blondish kind of guys, kind of athletic sort of actors. Which there's a whole bunch of those guys back then, but that was.
Yeah, because even could be Robert Redford. It could be any of those keen actors in it. Because they started in movies like that before they hit the big screen.
I saw Westworld. I saw Westworld real young, and it scared the shit out of me and left a mark. Where robots could not be trusted. I understand Han Solo and his hatred of droids. Why don't you like robots? Because they want to kill all humans. Haven't you seen all the movies? It's only Silent Running where the robots kill themselves to save the humans.
You just wanted to be the bartender. We don't serve their kind in here.
Get them out of
You're
here.
droids. We don't serve that.
Fuck off, you mechanical bastards. Yeah,
no. But honestly, during that time, they had some pretty good movies, like the early 70s stuff. When you're talking dystopian, I mean, you got 2001, you got different type of. That was 1969 for that. So you had some really deep type of movies on it. Now you got me really curious, Ron. I'm trying to think of other movies. I'm going through my mental list right now.
I can't remember because it can't be like. It sounds like Running Man, but it's not Running Man if they had to be near each other. But it has to be the evolution before Wild Wild West. Because the problem with Wild Wild West is you didn't take long enough to write the script. Yeah, Will Smith, but Kenneth Branagh and
But you didn't ever seen the TV series, have you? The actual Wild Wild West TV series? Because it's Western sci-fi.
Yeah. No, I'm a big fan. I'm not. They should have made it more like that. You're right.
Yeah, they should have made it more like that. Where what Ron's talking about is it got me really intrigued because I love sci-fi because that's the same as Night Gallery. That's the same as the different renditions of Outer Limits. Same time as Kojak the Night Stalker, because they were going through a renaissance of sci-fi material at that time. So there's a lot of movies with great actors that came out that was starting out. I mean, they had the guy. I think if I'm remembering right, and it might be a picture, and I can't remember the actor's name. He played in Beast Hunter. He played in. He was a big actor in the early '80s. Then he kind of disappeared.
He was in. Wait. No, hold on. We'll go back to the first thing you said. He was in what?
Beast Hunter? Or Beast?
Beast Hunter. I thought you said
I don't know the SC either. Yeah, I'm like Bee Hunter.
I thought he said Bee Center. I'm like, that sounds fucking cool. What is that? They're like using bees to kill people? Is that? Sorry.
No, but ironically that you said that, there is another one. I think it's called Hive. That's like that. But no, he played an '80s movie and he's got that dirty blonde hair. Kind of looks like
that narrows it down.
Guy. He played in Beastmaster. He played in Beastmaster.
Mark Singer.
And he played Mark Singer. Thank you. He played in a lot of sci-fi too.
V. He was in V.
Was in V? Yeah. Yes. He was in V. Mark
V.
Singer. Yeah.
Scared the shit out of us. Lizards that want to eat us and take our water and guinea pigs. This is terrible. We need to do something about that. We can't live without guinea pigs. We can get water anywhere.
Yeah, that's why I miss Suncoast, because you could take that information, go to Suncoast, look up in their books, and find that information. Because they would have, if you guys know what I mean, you could pick up the actual book and order it from the Crichton different collections, and look them up and see if they're still in print. If they will let you borrow the books, depending if you were cool with the guy behind the counter.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could do that.
Where I got the memory from was I worked at Suncoast in the early '90s, and I remember seeing that. That's where I saw it. I think I may have seen it on TV, but I just remember it from there.
Oh, then you know what it is. Yeah. So that means you had a lot of movies there, because with Suncoast, you could find out whether they were in print or out of print or in circulation. Because you can look that up and look up depending on the series and stuff with it. So Suncoast is great. I hated that when that store disappeared, but you could look for movies, and I mean hard to find movies, because you could go to a Blockbuster and stuff, and they wouldn't know what you were talking about. They would have no clue. You go to a Suncoast, okay, if somebody understood movies, you could understand and find it.
Are you sure it's not like a European movie, right? Like Delicatessen or Brother of the Wolf?
No, it was more like more like a Gone in 60 Seconds vibe instead of a European vibe.
Oh yeah, early '70s movie.
Definitely an American. That sort of movie. So I don't know if it comes to anybody. I just it was one of those things that bugged me for about a day and a half, and finally.
I have to be a dad. I don't have time to be upset about this.
Do stuff. Okay.
That's how it works.
No, I'll try to find out that one for you, Ron. I'll see if I can find something. Because I have a big collection of old classic sci-fi and different type of movies that I went and picked up when Blockbuster was going out and when Hollywood Video was going out. Even when Suncoast was going out. So I went out and got these movies and would order them, because I knew they would go out of print. And even when they reprinted, it wasn't exactly the same. Because a lot of people don't know this. Some of the movies that you get now are the TV edited version, not the original came out in the theaters.
Oh, really?
So sometimes those movies, it's not exactly the same. And when you watch it, you're like, well, wait a minute. Because the only master that they had, they might have lost the original master, but all they had to master was the TV version of it. And they remastered that. So it's the PG-13, it's not the director's cut. So it's not exactly the way it came in. And there's some movies like that. It's like it's harder to find the original Star Wars movie now than it is to find the remade one where George Lucas did his alterations to it. So to find one that was actually broadcast in 1977, the theatrical one, unless you have the old VHS tape or the first series where they put it on DVD, You can't find that anymore. It's all the new redone one where they did the renderations and they did the new sci-fi working on it.
I have
So there's some movie.
I have an unopened original VHS, the original trilogy before he went back and remastered it and added the ring around the Death Star and Jabba and a few extra. Because that's like a mixed bag. On one hand, it should stay traditional. On the other hand, these additions that he wanted to do but didn't do, but added 20 some years later. That's kind of neat. All right. Well, okay.
But the cool thing about it, you have the original where you can't find that anymore. Those copies have disappeared and went out of the media, so they're not even being produced anymore. So a lot of times you got a privilege. Like people now who watch Star Wars will only know the new version of Star Wars, will never know the originals. So the version that we saw back in 1977, very few people have seen that. Even though you see and play it all the time, that's the TV edited version of it. So a lot of movies, what I found out is that you get that sometimes it's not the original theatrical. Like for example, I'll use an old movie here. How many have you seen the 10 Commandments with Charlton Heston?
Yep, saw one. It's been a long time, but I saw it.
Okay, have you seen it
8
with the introduction and the intermission and the way it was done in the theaters back in 1967?
No.
Oh wow, I did that. Yeah.
That is a 3-hour movie. It's a long movie. But when you watch it in the screen, you get to see all of it, and it's a nice screen. The new ones that you see on DVD, the HD ones, it's the television version, so it's actually a little cut down. Same thing with Ben-Hur. A lot of people don't realize that's a long movie. Cleopatra.
Ben-Hur.
With Ben-Hur. Watch the actual theatrical one where they had the intermission, where they had the beginning and so forth. You get to see the full chariot race, and you get to see everything. Yeah. It's not like the TV version of it, and it's the full version that was shown in the theaters. It's a long movie, but you get to see the full chariot race, and they're 4 horses, 4 on 4, 4 wide. And in the TV version, you don't get to see the people in the corner, the soldiers that are standing, get run over. But in that version, you get to see them run over. So the TV, they edited them out, but in that one, they're getting plowed. Those stuntmen are getting hit. So it's a lot of things, and this is an old movie. This is an old movie back then. So a lot of times you don't always see the original rendition of it because sometimes it gets cut or it gets lost to time.
Right.
It gets edited and re-edited and edited, and the only copy that they have left is the one that they have, but it's been copied and edited, so you lose form. Like the hardest ones I went to see, like one of the ones I had to search for was like, you ever heard the one with Tony Randall, The 7 Faces of Dr. Lao?
Yes! I love that movie.
I love it.
Dr. Lao.
But
yeah.
I actually got one, and I had to look for it. Oh, an actual theatrical version of it, because everything was like Mr. Limpet off the TV, and this is not exactly the same, because some of the special effects at the time was scary for young children. The dragon and stuff on and stuff, that even though it's PG and stuff on, some of this stuff can be a little intensified for it. So when you see it on TV, you see most of it, a majority of it, but little excess, little things of it that he says is not there. So when you see the rendition of it, so a lot of times you got to look at it that some things are cut here and there. It takes the whole thing out of the whole story or changes it a little bit. And I was surprised when I watched it. I was like, I don't remember that, but yet I haven't seen it for such a long time. I've forgotten it. Then when I watched, yeah,
I love it.
It's just interesting on some of those movies.
No, you're exactly right, guy. I'm not trying to take away your thunder, but The 7 Faces of Dr. Lowe is really awesome. If you haven't seen it, it's probably Tony Randall's one of his best performances because he plays so many parts in the movie.
Well, it's a good classic, and it's one that it's kind of becoming lost to time because nobody talks about, nobody sees it. It's like the film you're talking about. Nobody talks about, nobody sees it, so it kind of gets lost and buried. And we'll be surprised. We'll find out a title of it, and we go, "Oh my God, we didn't think it was that movie," because it could be a movie that we know, but we don't associate that part with that movie. Then all of a sudden we watch it, and we're, there it is right there. And we'll be kicking ourselves in the butt figuring, oh, what's such a simple movie, but we don't associate that part with it, or it's a blink and you'll miss it.
Yeah.
But it happens.
We've been making movies since the very late 1800s. There's so much for the kids of tomorrow to catch up on.
Yep.
What do you want to tell them to watch, and what do you don't want to waste their time with? I mean, Ice Pirates is fun, but it's really not one of the greatest cinematic.
Yeah, you don't need to watch that one. That's one that they can.
What about here's another one? Rocky Horror. We all had wonderful memories of Rocky Horror, but it was because we went to an event where everybody got together. You had a good time.
You went. I didn't.
That was the only way that show was ever worth a shit, was because you were there with 20 of your favorite friends. You were doing stupid shit, and you were having a good time with it. Midnight movies. That was where that one shone. If you sit down and watch it without being either high on life or chemically induced substances, it is not the same film. And it's not as much fun if there's not somebody throwing rice and bread, and toast,
toilet
corn, and all this.
Let's do the time warp again. Yeah, you're gonna have that.
I got a question.
And my sister Beth. And go ahead.
It was fun. That was fun.
It's when you went to Rocky Horror Picture Show. How many of you went in with the knowledge of what was going to happen, or how many got invited and nobody said a word just to see your face and stuff, just to see what happens? Hey, let's go see the show. It's going to be fun.
And you guys would have liked this, and especially back in the day. I had heard about it a lot, and I knew my sister was going to the movies and playing Janet, and I didn't know what that was. So I definitely didn't want to see my sister in her underwear. Ew. But I saw it in my parents' living room at home for the first time and did not see it I've never seen it in the theater. So I'm like, why the fuck is this popular? This is just a goofy, fun,
exactly. It was
dumb.
The only reason it was fun was because you got to be a part of it in the theater. You got to be as involved as you wanted to be.
Yeah.
And never got to see Steel Avenue?
No, but in the privacy of your own home, it's Susan Sarandon and the other little redheads, Magenta and the one that dances. So, okay, this saves it. Also, Tim Curry. And Bruce Botnick is a great actor. And holy crap, there's Meatloaf. So that kind of made it a little more fun. And it's a vicious, brutal. It's a homicidal musical, much like Cannibal the Musical and so many others. So that kind of, okay, I can see why people like this, but all of you, the three of you are correct, where it's a submersive thing. It's like dressing up and going to con. And I wasn't getting that. It took me years to figure that out.
It has to be an immersive event. If you can, and that's part of it. That's why people like to go to things like Drunk Shakespeare today. That's why people like to go to these, that's why the murder mystery, the comedy murder dinner mystery stuff took off and became so popular. People really enjoyed that because it was the immersive effect. I get to be a part of it. I have an idea of what's going on. There'll be interesting twists, but it's going to be fun. I'm going to have a good time. Think of it this way. It is that step beyond going to the Renaissance Festival. People go to the Renaissance Festival because I get to come in and I get to meet Bill, but Bill's in character, and Bill's going to have fun, and he's going to have a good time with it, and they're going to do all this stuff. So I get to take my mother and my family and my children and grandchildren, and everybody gets to get as immersive as they want to, as immersive as they get comfortable with, but then they can always pull back and it's a good time. They can have fun with it. And that's the intent. That was the whole purpose of it. So the SCA becomes something completely different. If you go to the SCA usually the folks that are there, they want to be there, but they're going to be, most of them are going to be accommodating and have fun, but they're not going to do the same things that you had done with all of your fellow characters at the Renaissance Festival, because that wasn't a part of the process. That was more of a reenactment versus you were doing much more of an entertainment. I'm going to show you the history. I'm going to give you a broad touch of it, but I'm also going to make it something that's palatable to you, so it doesn't sound like the nerd standing in the corner who's still telling you all the reasons why your outfit doesn't look right.
The reason
So-
why I'm period is, dude, nobody fucking cares. They want to go in and watch Tori Stellar or the Tortuga Twins or Dead Bob or when is the
Exactly.
joust? 2:00 and 5:30. Those are the ones you want to see. The first one's good, but you really don't have to be there, buddy. The blood happens
You'll hear
at
it
the
from
end.
here.
Yeah.
You want to be there for the 5:30, but 1:00 you'll hear it from here. Don't worry.
I'm half and half. I have half the itch to go back to fair, but honestly, fair is awesome, but you get more bang for your buck at the haunt. The adrenaline level at fair, being on stage and making several hundred people laugh. That joy, dopamine, serotonin, help me out, whatever that is. That is, I understand now why rock stars get addicted to drugs. But the level of jumping out when you've timed it just right and seeing the level of fear and that hearing them scream and hearing the woman scream, I peed my pants. It's times 10. It's a whole nother level of adrenaline. It's like,
See, the Ren Fair for me anymore, and SCA is similar. The wars at the SCA and the Ren Fair for me, the joy that comes from that. When I took my boys the first time to the Renaissance Festival, and I took them out to the war, that was incredible because they got to see the difference between the two. They got to really be immersed in both sides, and they had a great time. And now it's to the point where I can watch that same thing through my grandchildren's eyes. So when my teenage granddaughters come running up and they see the fairy wings and they see the princess, the nicer princess tiaras and stuff like that, because they're into that. And the 4-year-old granddaughter, she just wants that wand because it's got the ribbons and she's happy. And AJ just wants to go and stand by the blacksmith because he's seen Papa beat the shit out of hot steel, and he wants to watch this other guy do it. That's where they have fun. And then you can take them out to the SCA events, because then the older ones have a good time with it, because now they get to, if they have an interest, they can delve into more of that. I can take them and introduce them to a blacksmith out there who has more time to sit with them and talk with them and say, well, let me tell you how I made this. Let me show you all of this. At the Ren Fair, he doesn't have the opportunity to do one-on-one time with every kid. He's got to keep working, and somebody will explain it. But the idea is, okay, here's your 5 minutes, move along. When I take them out to an SCA event, they can sit down with the guy that made the armor. They can sit down with the woman that made these beautiful beaded costumes. They can sit down with the wood carver. And they're going to sit there. Let me show you how I do this. Let me go through this. Let me explain. Because they're in their geek mode, because now I've got someone who wants to listen to me. And I can enjoy telling them, but they're not necessarily, I keep them away from the nerds who stand there. This is not correct, and you must always do this, and you should hold your hand like this when you talk to people. You need to go over here.
That's interesting because, again, all of my knowledge is dated. I haven't been out at the Renaissance Festival since 2015. That's a long time. And I've even longer, I think it was 99 or 98 that I was a street character. Pretty sure it was 99. But they drilled it into your head. We're an amusement park. This is an amusement park. This is like Disneyland or Knott's Berry Farm or Six Flags, where the SCA is a reenactment group. This is a reenactment group. We're reenacting, help me out, 8
reenacting
70.
everything
Hold on.
from about the
870 AD. When I remember we read it in the late 80s, and it was 890 AD,
yeah
like Charlemagne to Blackbeard. That's the
from the
that's
ninth
the yeah
century to about the
about
14th
the
century. That was the
no
period
it's
that you
no
could fall within
yeah
because
because you had pirates and shit.
Oh yeah, but it was like I said, it was from the ninth century to about the 14th century, where you could pull these in because you could have the Barbary, or not the Barbary, you could have some of the African pirates and things like that. So you could get through some of that, but then it was opened up, and there was never a hard, fast rule. You just had certain groups that were a pain in the ass about it, and then you had others that came out because, quite frankly, most of the guys that I came out with, and the reason why I was there was because it was an opportunity to beat the shit out of somebody with a stick legally, and you didn't have to worry about getting arrested.
Yeah,
I mean, at the point blank, I could go out there in full armor with a rattan sword, and the more you got into it, some people really got into okay, now I really want to learn the traditional martial arts that would have been the French style, the German style. I want to learn how to work with. I want to work to how to do Florentine style with two blades. I want to learn how to work a flambers. I want to learn how to work a pike pole. And you would go through, and as you learned, you either took off with that, or you were more into the other aspect, and you were there for the party atmosphere, and you accepted the fact that this was a reenactment. So when you were on the battlefield, you did a reenactment, but everybody went back, and come 6 o'clock at night, everybody in this camp was shit faced and didn't know what happened until we woke them up at 5 o'clock in the morning for muster the next day.
yeah. It's a different world. So
Yeah.
for Ren Fair, here's a good example. Jeff Mosden, who Ron and Guy and I went to high school with, passed away a while ago. So his daughter that was working out at the Pirates Plunder, Taylor, wanted to have a memorial at the old pirate camp that we inhabited in the mid 90s. So we all went out there, but Taylor it was too much for her, so she didn't attend the memorial. But after the memorial was done, Jeremy Cheek was like, "Hey, Bill, come back to our camp." And I was like, "Okay, right on." Because Christine and Beth had already gone back to the shop at the costume rental shop. So, they kind of wanted to like hang out, and I wanted to go hang out with Jeremy and a bunch of younger belly dancers. So while we're traversing the grounds to go from an area that's not being used anymore to the new area where all of the actors camp, I look over and I wave, and he gives me the chin up because he's got a toddler in his arm. "Hey, that's Eli." He was the king that year at the Arizona Renaissance Festival, and he was holding his youngest child. And hey, and we walked over, and he watched us walk the whole distance, 600 yards, maybe. And then as soon as we got to where we were going, he went back into his trailer. Rob, what would happen if that was the king out at the SCA?
Oh, depending upon who you were and how well you knew the king, then you might have been called over to, if you were friends with the king, then the king would signal you back. But if you were not somebody of any importance, then they would have.
Yeah, the 10 of us would have immediately had to drop to our knees. "Oh, hello, your lordship. Oh, sire. Oh, it's been so long that I've served you with that." No, we're actors.
Yep.
It's past 6:30. It's closed. We're not open.
Oh yeah, formal. If you were in court, there was always a formal court. You had courtiers, and they played the courtiers to the nth degree. So I always had a good place, a good time doing it because in real life I was still a medic. So out there I was a medic, but I was also a great big gorilla, and I could cook. So I rarely ever went to court, but court often came to camp because they knew that I was the guy that, you know, people would give me things like, you know, 15 pounds of ground elk, and I would make breakfast sausage out of it. And in the morning, we would be having biscuits and gravy for 25 fighters that was made with elk sausage gravy. And then the king would be over, can I have smoke, please? Yeah, you can have some. Sit over there.
It's the difference of during the day from 9:45, 9:30 to 6:30. You are the king. Oh, my lordship, blah, blah, blah. But after that, whoa, dude, how's it going? Do you want a shot? Do you need a soda? Would you like some water? I don't know. Do you smoke weed? We're not allowed to have it out here, but I've got plenty. So if you, so
you never saw this.
It's one of those, you're not allowed to have weed and alcohol out there, and most people don't. I don't want to paint this. Again, it's 10 years since I was out there. In the late 80s and the early 90s, it was a nonstop party. Towards the mid 2010s, it became locked down. They didn't want wild, they didn't want that shit. They wanted it quiet. They wanted it civil. So
they wanted more professional.
Well, when we went out there for...
It's because more people started going. That's why it got bigger and bigger. Because when you were doing it, it had its own little place. Now it's huge compared to what it was.
Yeah.
So
now he owns Arizona and North Carolina, and this is a business, and I get that. And well, the funniest part was, and I know I've told this story before, but while we passed the king and we all waved to him because we know Eli, he's our coworker, the way we look at it. But in the SCA, he's the king for the weekend. That's some serious shit while we're here. So we get to Jeremy's camp, and I'm telling Jeremy and Jeff did not get along. So of course Jeremy wanted to hear more embarrassing stories about Jeff. So I'm full of embarrassing stories about Jeff. I've known him since he was 17. There was a time when he got so drunk because Jeff. Anyway, so she was really pretty. She was in her early 20s. I don't know this girl. She's either in the royal court or she's in the Lord Mayor's court. But as Jeremy and all of his gypsy dancers, and I think one of his daughters was there, and a couple dudes, they're all laughing at all my stories because, dude, I'm the old man out there now. I've been out there since 91. They all want to hear about what fair was like before the jousting arena, when it was on the, they want to hear nostalgia, which is what I was talking about earlier in the beginning of this story, in the beginning of like working together with coworkers, was it's not our job to keep up with the future or the present. We're here to guard the past and tell them this is what the 80s were like. This is what the 90s were like. This is what 2002 was like when you were born. So this really cute redhead, and this is sad because I'm really into redheads, and she's like, you got to be quiet. You're getting us all into trouble. Honey, it's all right. If I'm too loud, they'll come and tell me I'm being too loud. This is fair. We're going to get kicked out. It's going to be all your fault. No. And seriously, if anybody comes to kick you out, I'll tell them that you were being quiet and it's all my fault. And she just looked at me and gave me this weird look. And I'm like, nothing's going to happen. It's going to be fine. So I'm loudly telling all these stories, and she's trying to shush me, which is only making me louder. And then all of a sudden I'm like, uh-oh. Here comes this blazer. Oh, no. I know this blazer. I've known this blazer since 1991. This is all 6'7" of Ian. Ian rules the front gate. Okay. She flips out, runs into her trailer, and pulls all the shades. Okay. Ian pulls up to the campsite. Jeremy knows Ian also. And we're just standing there, and all the girls are, they're, half of them are still in their sexy little bikini girl or belly dancer outfits. The rest of them are in normal clothes. And Ian pulls up in a hurry, gets out, and he's out of breath and disgusted. I love Ian. This was a joke, and he got it. I'm like disgusted. I'm like, Ian, how you doing, buddy? And he's like out of breath, and he's like, oh, I'm fine. Do you have any jumper cables? I think so. In the car at the shop. I mean, I don't have them here. Beth and Christine already went to the shop. Either Beth or Christine has them, and both of those vehicles are at the shop. Do you want me to go with you? Oh, no. I'll just go back there. What are you guys doing? We had the memorial for Jeff. Then I came back and, well, I'm telling stories. And he laughed at me, and Jeremy laughed. And then Red here flipped out because she thinks you're going to kick her out. Who? And he saw the number on the garbage can. He's like, oh, no. Like, what? I need jumper cables for so-and-so who needs them because, like, totally different. Oh, well, good luck, dude. I would check the shop. I'm pretty sure they're in my trunk. And he left. And Red, cute, hot little Red comes out. I'm like, you see? It's fine. I was here a couple years after he was here. I've known him forever. Trust me, if I was pissing Ian off, not only would I know instantly, I would be mortified and very upset because he's a good friend of mine. I've known him for a long time. And she was just pissed for the rest of hanging out with us, and then she went to bed early, and it's like, oh my God, take the corn cob out of your ass. It's fine. I was here for the wild party years. This is nothing. Me telling stories is nothing. We used to be able to play drums.
It's all totally. Well, I gotta get going.
Oh, no.
Sorry to drop early, but I gotta take care of a couple things.
Thank you so much for joining us on episode 31.
Yeah.
All right.
Ron. Next week? No, you'll
Thank
be
you,
in
Ron.
Chicago. You just said that. So week
Yep,
after
I'll be in
next.
Chicago.
So
Probably.
August.
Yes, sir. Yep,
Ron
I'll be in
will be
August.
back with us in August.
Safe travels to you, sir.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Safe travel, Ron.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Thanks, guys. All right, catch you later.
Good night, Ron. Okay, good. Well, not good. I was hoping he would stay till. How are you guys doing? We're so far away from the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon.
No, we carried on because where did it lead? It took us on that nice, long, enchanted trip. What's the closest someone can get to Dungeons and Dragons in the real or mundane world?
Yeah.
You can go to an SCA event, which they exist all over. We find them all around the world, in fact. You can go to a Renaissance festival. Same thing. They exist all over the world. You can go to a Celtic festival. They exist all over the world.
The Highland Games.
Any of these events, and they will give you that opportunity to get a visual idea of these concepts and thoughts that we hope, if you are enjoying Dungeons and Dragons, you're building some of those in your own mind as opposed to only taking the visuals that come from television programs, cartoons, and whatnot. We're hoping that all of those that are coming about now are reading the Shannara Stone books and the Lord of the Rings and all of these other tales, giving their mind an opportunity to create what they think this character or that hero or that villain should look like. And perhaps that'll draw them into an event Go out to the Renaissance Festival, and suddenly you get to see some of the costuming in real life, and then decide, oh, I never would have thought of that on this character. Now you've created a new image in your own mind.
I have to say, I can't speak for the SCA, but doing the Renaissance Festival from 1991 to 2015, everybody's costuming just got better and better every year. I mean, it was just, come up here.
And it was the same with the SCA. You had the old timers, you had the people that knew costuming because they had been doing it since the 70s in the SCA. They'd been pulling these things together, and they developed their craft, and they were teaching it, handing it down, which is the same, I'm assuming, is the exact same thing that you would find at the Ren Fair, because you've got people who know how to do it, and they want to help. They're going to many of them will want to help. Not all of them are going to be interested in doing so. Same thing with the SCA. Same thing with any kind of reenactment groups. I mean, we used to see the Civil War guys and things like that. These were you had the same groups. Hell, I used to see the Old West guys and the Mountain Men. And you had some great folks who would sit with you and say, let me show you how to do that. I see how you made your pants. So let me show you a little trick.
Wait. I want to start a debate between the two of you because my bladder is full and I have to run to the bathroom. But so for cosplayers, are the Mountain Men the first, the Roman Legion guys the first, the Western guys the first? No, squidge it. Don't crawl on me. Oh, my God. Not right now. Okay, I'll be right back. Sorry.
So cosplayers, the first cosplayers, I would think that the first cosplayers might have been some of the Civil War reenactors, or even better yet, some of the Revolutionary War reenactors who came along after the daughters and sons of the Revolution. So you had those groups that developed in the early 19th century, who were the children of those who had fought in the Revolutionary War. And as time went on, they were retaining some of the uniforms and the clothing, but as they went along, they would do reenactments of some of the events to show, but it wasn't, I don't think, to the same level that we had seen in the century after. So reenactments, you had the Revolutionary folks, you had the Mountain Men that would show up in the late 19th century, more so in the 20th century, because a lot of that had fallen away but became romanticized.
Yeah, but I think really where the origin of cosplay came in, and a lot of people forget about it, is that it's a dramatization, and you're reenacting or acting something from a movie or something like that. So a lot of it, you could go back to Roman and Greek theater, where they actually put on the gowns, they put on the things, and reenacted battles or plays or something on it. And that's where you really got the cosplay from it. It just cosplays the modern terminology with it, but all you're doing is reenacting something. Your Civil War, Westerns in the 50s and turn of the century, you had Civil War, but right with them was Westerns. So you had cowboys, Indians, and all that. So reenactment was, I go way back to Roman, basically with the Greek, with their plays, with their stuff that they have, because they reenacted a lot of things that happened in the antiquities, and it was their interpretation of it. So with cosplay, it's never really 100% truth. It's a rendition of a story or something on it. It's somebody's version of it. So it's truth in there to a point, but it's their version of the truth. So somebody who cosplays is presenting themselves as the type of character or as this idea of a character. So when you look at cosplay, it's not always 100% accurate to what it is. So if you did a cosplay of Hercules, you could do any cosplay of Hercules over the generations. You can be Hercules from the Disney movie. You could be Hercules from the comic book. You could be Hercules from the movie. they're all correct. They're all Hercules, but different versions of them. So when you cosplay, it just putting on a mask. It's just putting on the entertainment and showing people with it. So a lot of people sometimes get sticklers with cosplay, say this is the right way. It's all of it's the right way because it's just an interpretation of it. So I go back to theater. I go back to ancient, Commedia dell'arte, any of that stuff, because that's where the origins of it. It's a performance that you put on with the costume. You put it on, and anything where you alter your appearance to change it. I mean, even if you go back to people wearing costumes and like the performers at Disney who's Mickey Mouse, they're cosplaying as Mickey. They're not Mickey, but you go back way back in like the Greek, you go way back into the national plays. That's where I think it originates from. That's where the origins of cosplay is.
That makes sense. So then the original term would have been a costume play. You're creating a play where you're using costumes to depict an event and people that occurred at a different time and place. So yeah, that would even predate the Egyptians. That would predate the Zoroastrians. So at any point in time when there was a costume presentation that was meant to extol a story, a tale about events, people that did not happen at that point in time, that would make sense. And that would also play into the idea of the costume parties, because I'm sure that there were people who held costume parties with that intent at specific times of the year for religious or secular purposes. And you would invite those who could to come wearing costumes. So that would go back to the old Irish strawmen that would show up, to the old original in the Rush, up in the northeast of Europe. You had the Krampus players who, for centuries, that character had been around for a long time. So anytime you had somebody who was presenting themselves in costume to reenact or to portray a particular character that was at that point out of place, out of time, yeah, that would be it. So you couldn't really pick, because then that would go back to the earliest presentations of, a Neolithic man who was, I'm going to tell you a tale, and I've got these two sticks that I'm going to use to show you that I am a deer, or that I am a creature, and so costume.
Even better, I found these antlers out in the woods, and I'm going to use it from a dead one, and I'm going to use.
Yeah, you look at it. It's the first time somebody took on a pelt of a lion or a bear and drug them over themselves and pretended to be the bear.
So it goes all the way back to, like he said, Neolithic, Paleolithic.
Neolithic. And you look at it, and it's when you look at costume play, it's in all forms of religion, because in certain type of countries they reenact the crucifixion of Christ, and other they get some guy that plays the role of Jesus and all that. You have other stuff where people look at Santa Claus. People dress up as Santa Claus. They're cosplaying as Saint Nicholas. And they're no different than that when people come up. It's a cosplay. It's a form of cosplay. Man. But
they let me be Santa Claus, but they won't let me be Krampus. I can be Santa Claus at the Christmas party, but I can't come in as Krampus.
Why not? You'd be a great Krampus. One of Ron's kids got a bolt of fur. I want to make a horrific costume out of it. Cliff and I were talking about, he wanted to make a Wendigo costume on drywall stilts. I've got the perfect under fur for this.
But that's the whole thing about it, is it's not, nothing in cosplay is 100% right or correct, because it's costume play. Yeah. It's anything. It's like when I was talking to Rob here, it's like when I was telling using the analogy of Hercules. You could be any type of Hercules at any time point in the nation of it, from Disney Hercules to the motion picture Hercules to the story Hercules,
Marvel
and it's all
Hercules,
correct.
DC Hercules.
You could be any type of Hercules, and it's correct. You're Hercules. So Hercules in himself, you could dress up as Hercules, and nobody really can critique it, because It
Arnold
is the character,
Schwarzenegger
not
Hercules.
specific. Yeah.
That was the joy of cosplaying, because that made me think about a friend who years ago at the conventions here, he did what he called the desert. If I remember right, it was a full, all pink and velvets and stuff. It was a full Erwin Rommel costume. He was the desert Pete.
That's awesome. Well, I think you guys are right that cosplay has existed since we were living in caves. So there's really no what was first. No, it's just, hey, this group's spin on it. Hey, this group's spin on it. Oh, I like this cosplayer. Oh, I look at her a lot. I don't care what she's dressed as. I'm gonna save the pictures.
Actually, did
First
you guys ever
redhead
see?
he playing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Did you guys ever see the Adam Savage, where he does this love letter to cosplay,
A love
and he
letter
says
to cosplay. Do proceed.
it's on YouTube, and he does like a TED talk, and it's titled "Love Letter to Cosplay," and he says the cosplay basically is an interaction between you and other people in a theater that's all around you, that's moving, but for that one particular time and moment in space and time. So cosplay is basically you interact with people as the character as you are. So with that, throughout time, anybody who dressed up as Ronald McDonald interacted with people as Ronald McDonald at that McDonald's. So in that point in time, he was the embodiment of Ronald McDonald.
I would agree with you 100% because the same psychological experiment, not just cosplay, but the same psychological experiments exists, excuse me. It's been a long day and a lot of booze with puppets.
Mhm.
And I always understood because when we first saw Dead Bob, it was Jason Barth that was like, this is crap, this guy uses the puppet to get all this money. But puppets have a certain effect on people. And then Christine said so when they were doing her singing group. And then Nina Conti, who does Monkey, and then she has a whole act of ventriloquism that is just hysterical, where she puts mouths on people and she moves the mouths, and then she uses her ventriloquism to use what. So the people just stand there and physically react to what she's saying. That she's making them say it, but they're not really saying it. So they start laughing, and then she starts making noises with their reactions, and it's just absolutely hysterical. I'll post some of her bits on the on our Facebook. Thank you very much. Like and subscribe, folks. I worked 52 hours last week, and then on Sunday, I woke up to let the cats back in, and Fabian was like, "I'm sorry to wake you up, and if you say no, I totally understand. You're probably exhausted from being at work till 11 o'clock last night, but can you come in?" And this was like it's 7. This is like it's almost 7 o'clock on Sunday. And I was like, God damn it. So I laid there for like 5-10 minutes debating. I really need the money. I can't say no. So then I went in on Sunday and worked for till 3 o'clock. So, yeah, reality is a rubber band, and it can be
Reality is
stretched. Boy.
But the only bad thing is about cosplay and about anything like that is there's a dark side to it. And what happens with it, and I've seen it a lot, is people get absorbed with the cosplay, and they kind of lose themselves to the character.
Every guy dressed as Deadpool is an asshole. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. Well, that's part of it here, and that's even more so than anything. Because sometimes what happens is some people don't have a character outside of
Sorry,
cosplay,
guy,
let's
that
say.
was a lot more funny than you realized.
Oh, no, I meant it, but I don't want to laugh at it, but yeah.
I know you have a point, but you didn't realize how fucking funny that was. I'm glad we recorded it because now I can't remember it because I was listening to what you were saying.
But but it's so true. Some people don't have a personality outside of cosplay. So goes to your Deadpool. They don't have any personality, any outway of showing it. So they have to put on a mask to show a personality. They have to be behind something to make them say something or do something or anything. It's the oddest thing. Psychologically, it's the oddest thing when you look at people like that.
It
They
stems.
totally express it.
Hold on, it stems from Halloween because when guys dress as Deadpool at Halloween, they're assholes also. And there's this weird thing that at a Halloween party, when you're young, kids are just being kids or they're trick or treating or this and that. But the older people get and they dress up as other characters, they kind of exactly what you said.
Well, I found out the interesting thing is such a case study on how people act and how what people look at. Because as the years when I cosplayed it and did it for a time was, I'll give you an example. I knew a girl that cosplayed, quiet as a mouse, very unsure of herself. When you meet her, she doesn't want to talk to you. She feels nervous. She doesn't want to engage. But as soon as she puts on the costume, she's engaging with everybody. It's like a total flip of a coin. And she comes
Suddenly she's
outspoken.
Catherine Hepburn or Madeline Kahn.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
Gilda
Madeline Kahn-
Radner running around all over the place.
running around all over the place talking to people and stuff. But as soon as it comes out of the costume,
She's
now the
bouncy.
interesting with her, she still does cosplay and stuff on it. But also too, the interesting thing is in it, she'll talk to me out of costume as me. But once I'm in costume, I all of a sudden become that character.
Gotcha.
So I'm only addressed as that character, and she does that all the time. So I found it was an interesting case because I looked at it and go, how interesting that under normal circumstances we would talk and we'd collapse. But once I got into costume, I ceased to exist as who I am, and I became that one character, and I was addressed as that one character for the whole duration of it. So some people was interesting with it psychologically, how it takes them to a place. Either it puts them in a shell or takes them out of a shell, or sometimes
if you're a cosplayer, you're right. You need to be her. You need to stay in the character and be that character. If you're working at fair or you're working at a haunted house, most of the people should 100% be it. But like I talked to so many bosses, my character is breaking the fourth wall. And that's what I'm really good at. To keep either the accent or what's going on, but to still inform them about the fun they're going to have and be the evil tour guide. Kind of, it not only fits with my personality, but you only have to have one or two people doing that. I'm not a street character. I work in a shop, so I don't have to be. I can wear tennis shoes. You know, it's okay. I don't have to have sandals on or boots because I'm not employed by the festival itself. I was employed by Belrose Costume Rental Shop. I'm Christine and David's responsibility, not the office's responsibility. But I don't have to stay in character. So if I break character after my sales pitch, if I start off in Scottish and then break into American, or I start off in English or Irish or whatever and break into American, that's okay because technically I'm not a performer. I'm just the first weirdo you meet. My job is to get you in the shop so that you'll rent a wagon or a wheelchair or an electric cart or hopefully a costume and a hat.
well, that's the hardest thing with it because I've seen a lot of people, and I'm a very good people watcher, and I can see it. Is some people will play the character, but they cannot stay in character for a long time, so they break the character, and they show who they are, and they're just wearing the costume. Other people will stay in character and stuff a lot longer in it, and you can always tell people who actually understand the character can stay in character longer and can inhabit the character. So there's cosplayers that inhabit characters. There's other cosplayers that just put on the costume. They just like the attention of the character.
No, you're right.
They don't really understand it. They don't understand it. They can't interact with you as the character. And other ones just does it for like an ego boost.
Yeah.
They just want to stroke their ego? Here, look at this and stuff on it. And
Yeah.
those one is just a vanity fair.
If
It's
it's
total vanity.
Yeah. If it's a script, I can stay in character. Or if you're like, I just need you to be in character and don't break the fourth wall for 5 hours. If you give me a time limit or you give me a script, I'm not going to break the fourth wall. But if you just let me run wild, I'll become an evil tour guide of the area that I'm in. Because that first thing I'm going to do before the place even opens is go around. Like, if it's fair, that's kind of wild. And especially if I was a street character, there were no holes barred. If I was a stage act, like with Bedlam or with the Gypsy Troupe, or we showed Terry Foy our act, and he really liked it, but we never got to audition in, was it April? I can't remember when street characters audition in September for the Arizona Renaissance Festival. You have to audition. You have to go in front of everybody and do your bit and juggle or play your violin or your guitar or sing or whatever the hell you do. And they have to like say, okay, you're all right, you're in. And back in the day in 91, I worked for food tickets. I worked for $75 worth of food tickets for the entire season, which was only 8 weekends and a couple days during the week for President's Day and 2 Kids' Days. Kids' Days are hell on earth because they would bust the kids in and they'd just let them run wild. So I lost so much juggling equipment. Yeah. So, but if you work in a shop out, the best thing to do if you want to be involved in the Ren Fair and you don't know if you want to be a performer or work in a shop, get a job in the shop of the stuff that you love to sell. And for the first 2 weekends, try not to let your personality too much. Learn everything and do a really good job there. After the 3rd weekend on, continue to do a good job and start to let your acting personality out and start to be a character. I had so much fun with other street characters for the almost 3 decades I was out there. But to be honest, I had the equal amount of fun, I should say, with people who were shop owners or people who worked in shops, because they wanted the same amount of fun. If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does make sense.
Rambling of an old.
It does make sense because when you look at it and when you go back to cosplay, when you go back to people and stuff on it, it's all open to interpretation. But I found out the funniest thing about it is that sometimes you can connect with people on the littlest things or the littlest movements and sayings without even speaking. Because I remember one of the hardest cosplays I ever had to do, but I did it and I memorized it because it took a long time to memorize some stuff, is when I did V for Vendetta. They cannot see my face. I am covered. Black cover. Can't see the eyes and stuff on it. But when I started doing...
Victorious.
Glorious. When I started doing that, when I started talking and having the euphemisms, his speak pattern as he was talking, and I did that, people enjoyed it. And when I took out my baton and started playing the music, people understood it. So the movements I had, the characteristics, people were drawn to it, that people came up and enjoyed the cosplay, because as the reenactment, as the cosplay, I reenacted certain parts of the movie. And I didn't have an audience to begin with, but towards the end I did. And all I did was I walked up to the edge of a stairway and I started playing like I was music. Can you hear it? Yes, the strings. And I just started singing that, and people went. So you're doing a little meta performance right there, just like how you would at the Renaissance Festival, and people are gravitated to that. So certain costumes that I did it to, like when I did a good one is when I did Willy Wonka, and I started doing the little dance as he's going down the stairs, And I did that, and some people looked at him and was like, yeah. And there was no music, no nothing. I was just doing a little step with my cane as he was going down the steps, like he did when he was coming, just like in the movie, just how Gene Wilder did it. And people, it resonated with people. They saw the costume, saw I was Willy Wonka. They went nuts with it, and they just loved it. They
Willy
loved it. It just
Willy Wonka is Saw for kids.
yeah. And that's funny is
Yeah.
even though they're older characters, people resonated with it. The characters that got resonated differently. The Ant-Man character, kids loved it. But the characters that really brought tears to people's eyes, that was the Willy Wonka character, because people never seen it. My Willy Wonka character, my Speed Racer character. When I did Speed Racer, people were coming up, older people were like, they couldn't believe it was Speed Racer. They're like, "You're Speed Racer."
Where's my Mach
The young
5?
kids have
Who are you?
What the
You've
fuck?
got to be X.
But yeah, they understood it. So it's and it wasn't like I was doing a huge monologue. I did the pose, and people thought it was funny. It's hysterical.
Yeah.
But I did the pose like he jumped out of the car, and people loved it. And just little things,
Speed
little trinkets
Racer
like that
has-
takes them back.
Speed Racer
Yeah.
raced us and beat
Speed
us.
Racer.
But we will race him again, and we will beat him. Who
Yep.
wrote this? Who translated this?
Who wrote this?
That
Who wrote
can't
that?
be right. There's got to be more.
But it's
plot.
it's such a trip, though. You
Yeah.
get people like that, that you don't know what's going to come up, and it just hits something. It hits something on an emotional state. They see you do something, and
Yeah, no. You're right, because there's certain people that dress up and then they like parade around, and you're working at a booth and they come around the corner and they come to your booth and you're like, holy shit! Thank you for making me 7 again, or something like that. Because there's been so many cosplayer and costumings through the years. Because what? 86? 80, where's all my... I'll find them. Tired. I've been... 86 was the first con I went to, CopperCon or Leprechaun, at the Safari.
Yeah,
Later
that sounds right. It would have been CopperCon, probably.
Capcom.
And then later, I really want to go to the cons again, but it's become so... I don't want to pay to shop,
Yeah.
2009 was awesome. 2008 was awesome. 2010, I got to yell at Felicia Day and Ray Park and what's his name? The guy that played, the kid that played, well, he's an adult now. He played Boba Fett. When he and Jenga leave.
Oh, the kid that was doing
Okay,
okay.
They charged us $1,080 for the booth. And what they did was they made so many aisles that every booth was an end cap. Every booth was an end, so they could charge you the end price. Dude, I've been your customer since 2006. What are you robbing me for?
Yep.
But that's what happened. All right, I'll pay for it. And behind us was... there was some kind of video production company, and all of these guys had beautiful girlfriends that were very fit, and they had friends too. And Avatar was brand new in, what was that, 2010? So they had a chick dressed as Avatar, they had a chick dressed as Princess Leia, and the actor that played Boba Fett was sitting diagonally across. It was Felicia Day, Ray Park, the kid that played Boba Fett. I can't remember the next couple people. So he, on his breaks, would stand up and dart across the and shake and talk to people, because it had 2010. It had just happened. So he He was only a little bit older than he was in the movie. And he would cut through our booth to talk to the girls behind us. And after the second day, I yelled his name at him, and he froze like I was his dad. And I'm like, dude, if you're going to cut through our booth to go see the bikinis, at least introduce yourself. Hi, I'm Bill Kelly. It's really nice to meet you. This is Kurt. This is Dan. This is, this is Paul. This is Christine. Because he kept doing it, and he just ignored us. It's like, dude, this is awesome, but throw me a bone here. Let's be adults. You're a kid. You are a professional. You've made a lot more money than me, so you could probably buy my house, little guy.
Dude, I remember those cons. I remember those.
He laughed. And
I remember
laughed,
one of
and he shook my hand, and he's like, "I'm sorry." I'm like, I understand. If I were your age and there were bikini-clad babies here at, because remember back then it was only like it was at the end of May.
It was still relatively new.
Yeah.
Where you see the bikini clad ladies were coming out, because they started coming out more and more and more once it hit. Once 2012 hit, they started coming out like crazy.
I'm a creepy old guy. I understand. Go right ahead, but at least introduce yourself before you cut through my booth that I paid $1,000 for, so you can throw the curtain away and hi, ladies. Dude, they're not interested in you. They're like 12 years older.
Oh my god, I know what
like
you mean.
14,
it's like crazy.
Dude, they're in their early 20s. You're not. You're famous, and that helps you out a lot, but good luck. But in the meantime, hi, I'm Bill. He was very nice.
Dude,
he was very polite. He was very polite once I called him on that, but it was really funny.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. But I mean, once those girls started coming into the con and you start seeing them, I mean, they were doing like nightgown wear, as I would call it. I mean, when I started doing cosplay in 2015, when me and you went, and the next year I went just to try it out, was when we did the meetings. Oh my god, the girls that would send pictures for approvals, and I had a friend that he does Heroes United, and he would show me some of the pictures that were people trying to get costumes approved. I'm like, you can't take that to a con. That shows way too much.
I'm a
they can't
huge
approve
fan
that
of this, but there's going to be kids there. I had my kids there. There's a time and place for it. This is for at night, right? No, I want to wear this during the day. No.
Yeah, like, whoa.
Just no.
No.
It's the same thing at Ren Fair. I'm going to come in this. Not in that you are. Like, we should get Ian. I should get Ian on the show so that he can tell all the stories. We had one guy that busted the last, it was 2013, 14, or 15. It's all blur to me. My whole career out there is a blur. And you got to go through the exit. And he came through yelling at everybody. And, dude, we're very, very accommodating. What's the problem? And he blew all of us off. It was a terrible story. But he came through the entrance, going the opposite direction, in through the outdoor. Okay? Or out through the indoor, rather. Out through the indoor is a more accurate. So he's bypassing the massive line of people. Well, to the gate crew, that tells us you stole something, you're intoxicated, you're having some kind of domestic dispute, or you attacked one of our actors or vendors and you're trying to get away from the crime as fast as possible. So this alerts everyone. And he's not being quiet. He's being super loud. He breaks through the gate. He opens it while these women are trying to stop him. I come over and get in front of him, and I'm like, dude, what's wrong? Get away from me. I just need to get out of here. I'm like, and the problem is that this guy's 15 years younger than me. He's in much better shape. There's no way I'm going to be able to catch this dude if he runs. But he takes a step towards me, and the only defense I really have is to kind of redirect his momentum. So I end up spinning him almost in a 180, but he falls to the ground. And as I go to grab him, he jumps up, and he's spry, and at this point, I'm fat, so I'm not going to be able to catch this guy. And he jukes to my right, his left, and he runs forward. Within 2 steps, he's way ahead of me. Out of nowhere, Ian comes up. Remember, Ian's 6'7". Ian rises up out of the crowd and fucking shoulder checks this dude. And this guy hits the ground and rolls. And immediately the sheriff and the sheriff's deputy and the local cops are on top of this guy as he starts screaming. I never got the full story of what it was, but they ended up taking him out to the parking lot. And I never, a lot of things you just let go. You don't ask. It's not that important. There's tomorrow. We're going to have more of that tomorrow. But that was probably like the last like fight where I didn't strike him or anything, but as he moved towards me, I spun him like a top, and he literally went rip, boom, right on the ground. And everybody around me was like, whoa. Before that, there was the fight between the guys that park the cars and the guys that pick up the trash. And the guys that park the cars were the aggressors. But the dudes that pick up the trash were like linebackers. These guys were enormous. They were bigger than me. And the guys that, they wanted to ride the carts. And I'm like, at the last, we're not supposed to talk about it. It's probably still going on. But back in the day, Jeffrey Siegel would allow us to have a party on the very last day of the Ren Fair, on the very last night. And you can't really freeze the food for the next year, or the beer, or the soda. So he would basically, we had a leftovers party. And they would have a DJ, and they would project pictures. My whole, one year Guido used my whole webpage, because I've known him since he was like 16, his very first year out there. And it's a great big fun party filled with tears, because you're not going to see these people for a year unless you're on the road. And even if you're on the road, they may go to South California's fair, but you may have to go to Georgia, and you may not see them. And then the next two, well, you may go to Colorado, but they may go to Waxahachie near Dallas to Scarborough. So you're not going to see them. So it's the last night of the Ren Fair on the last day at Arizona. It's a fun party, but it's a tearful goodbye, because a lot of people, you never, ever see them again. And the last memory you have of them is hugging them at like midnight, drunkenly. Hey, man, I'll see you in February. Oh, yeah, I'm going to be here. I haven't seen that guy in 40 years. Don't know what happened to him. I really wish him well. I miss him and the other guy and those, but, and it's the same myth as nicknames at SCA and Ren Fair, where I've known dudes for decades, but I've only known them by their nickname. I've never, ever learned their real name. Like the one dude with really long brown hair that sold staves near the Royal Crown Theater, where Don Juan and Miguel and Caston Bronze and the Gypsies and all that. Never learned his, I only know him as Silk since 1991. Never learned his real name. Not that it really matters. I mean, I hung out. I talked to him for 2 months every weekend for how many years is that? 91 to 15? 20.
More than 50.
20 flim do. I don't know. Do I need to know his name? No. Do I wish him really well? Absolutely. Where do I think he got his name? Pretty sure he got it from Silk, from David Eddings, Belgariad the Malorian. One of the main fucking coolest characters is named Silk. That's not his real name. It's Prince Keldar. But he goes by Silk, and he's a spy master and merchant. So,
Well, you get
pretty sure he got
you get the
name
same
there.
like that. You get the same like that when you do cosplay events and you do stuff like that.
Yeah.
You get a lot of that. 'Cause you get like when I was doing Put on the Cape, and I'm still an ongoing member of Put on Cape. When we do charity events and go out to charity events, so I always meet different type of cosplayers at any different time. But sometimes people come in and they do cosplay for a season, they do it for a year, they do it for one event, and you'll see them. They'll come in and they'll disappear. Then you see other people that are always there and stuff. So you always meet different people at different times doing different things. So we did Superhero Saturday. We started Superhero Saturday. Now it's its own thing. Put on the Cape, Heroes United. When I did all of that, when we went to the hospitals and stuff, you never knew who you're going to be paired up with, and what people are you going to be playing alongside. So sometimes you don't know who you're interacting with, who else is coming up with you, but you always joined up. If I was doing Marvel characters, I joined up with the Marvel team, and we became the Avengers or whoever was the flavor of the month. If doing DC was doing DC characters, again, I joined up with the DC characters, and we did our own cliques and stuff on the shopping events and stuff. So we played around. When I was in DC, I would be talking to this Wonder Woman. Then the next time, it's a different type of Wonder Woman, and each one portrayed it differently. Each one had, and how can I say is some cosplayers, some people that you see it was they're all in it 100%, to the clothing, to the way they act and stuff, to partial. They'll be in it for just to do it for the one time and that's it. They don't look like to do it for full time, or they're not 100% into it. Like the girl that does the Queen for the Ren Fair, and she does Texas and stuff on it. I used to do the stuff at the zoo for Heroes United. Now she's doing Ren Fair and doing all that, and I can't remember her name right now at the moment. But me and her started doing stuff with her mom back when she was 19, because we were in the group together. And that's when I was doing Willy Wonka. Now she's doing Ren Fair. She wins trophies at the...
Oh, no, she's awesome as a queen.
She's awesome as a queen, yeah. And I knew her when I was doing Willy Wonka, and she was doing all sorts of stuff. But her costuming is on par, and she's awesome girl. Awesome, sweet girl and stuff. But, you meet people like that, then other people just like you never see them again. They come up, they do something, and like you say, you only know them as a character. Some people I never knew their name. I only knew them as a character because they were a character. But
no. You're okay. I don't want to. This is negative, but it's I'm taking it from a realistic point of view, not a vicious point of view. But it's the same thing with, if you think about it, in 2013, Paul and I did Wild Wild West Con. And we did 4 days. And, dude, I only left the booth to pee and shop. Other than that, Paul went and got me food. He's like, oh, it's better if you just fucking sell all the shit and I go get you stuff than, So he did what he wanted to, and I took the spotlight. Just like all the Comic-Con. If you put me in a convention, I'm going to sell everything. That's just how it goes. That's my superpower.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story, because this happened when I was doing...
Can you give me one more? So, from 2014 on, there was always an excuse why we couldn't do Wild Wild West Con.
Oh, that's a good...
So, I understand about people that are there and you're like, oh my God, where has she been? I know she's going to be like 3 other characters. Or where has he been? We can have him be this guy and this guy and this guy, and then you never see him again.
I totally get that, because you always meet him in character. Like, one funny thing that happened, and when I was doing Put on the Cape, and we were getting an award for charity. So we got invited as the costume players and stuff. We were on TV. We did a news spot and so forth. So after that, we were getting a little award. We were supposed to come as ourselves.
Yeah.
So I met a girl that always dressed up as Harley, but I didn't recognize her out of costume because she wore a wig and everything.
And the
And
white
she didn't
makeup
recognize me
and-
because
yeah.
I was as Ant-Man. And then when Sean came up, and
Nice.
he's the director, he comes up and goes, he introduced us. He goes, "Hey, this is our fellow Ant-Man. This is who." And I looked at her and went, "Hey, we known each other. We
Oh my
talked to each
God,
other
we've been playing off each other for months, and I don't know what the
What?
hell you look up.
for
Yeah.
months. She knows me at Green Arrow. She knows me that, but she didn't know the name or the face to it. She knew me as those characters because she goes, "You do Green Arrow, you do this," but she never saw me out of costume. She never. And I got to see her with a.
Yeah.
And Sean looked at us, and he's the one that owns the charity. Looks at it and starts laughing. He goes, "You guys never met in person?" I said, "No, this is the first time we met out of costume."
Yeah.
Because she knows me as the characters, but never met me out of me myself, my name.
You're totally right. There was a woman at the resort, and she's like, "Do you remember me?" And I'm like looking at her, and she was there with her friend, and I'm like, "I'm trying." She was like, "We were here last month." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And she's like, and they looked at me, and I'm like, "I'm sorry, I've been mentally putting costumes on you for like the last 2 seconds." And then her friend is like, "Putting costumes on her?" Well, I did the Renaissance Festival from 91 to 2015, and I did haunted houses from 98 to 2015. So I meet a lot of people that I've worked with that I can't remember what the fuck they look like outside of makeup or costume.
Mm.
And they both started busting up laughing, and she's like, the friend was like, oh my God, that makes total sense. I'm sorry, I thought you were big. I'm like, no, I'm creepy, but I didn't mean it in this way at this time. And
It's so funny when that happens, but yeah, I've had that feeling, that thing on it
Yeah.
where people, they recognize you, but they don't know where. Then you're like, "Yeah, I did this. Oh, I
did
was
a
there.
lot of
Oh, you were."
porn. Maybe that's where you were. Yeah.
And they come up and they look at, and they don't. And like I said, I had some people were like, "That was you," you know. And I like, "Yeah, that was me in costume." And they don't. They say, "You're totally different." I had people say, "You don't sound different. You don't look
Yeah.
different." I said, "Well, that's the character. That's the character I was playing."
I-
They didn't realize it.
Dave Carter, who's Dave C on YouTube, 1 year in 2014 or 2015, he put his laptop on the second floor of the costume rental shop and made it take a picture like every 3 minutes. So he did a time elapse of the people coming in, but you could see he and I randomly through the day, through the first part of it, because we're at work, we're running around in front of the shop. So I'm showing this to Brett at work, and I'm like, "There, that's me. White shirt, green kilt, big gray hat." He's like, "Oh my God, you ran up to me there." I'm like, "Was I holding a 2-year-old's kilt with your name on it?" He's like, "Yeah, you ran up to Lexi." I'm like, "Yeah, I ran up to Lexi and said, 'Oh, good, you're finally here. You got this for him. Let's get it on.'" Because that was my total bit from that time period on. So yeah, he's like, "Yeah, I remember you. I met you before I met you." He's like, I'm like, "Yeah, that happens a lot to me in life." "Oh my God, that was you?" "Yeah, that was me.
Yeah.
I'm the one. Let me start apologizing, or what are we doing?"
What are we doing? Well,
Yeah. Rob, we're past 8 o'clock and over 3 hours. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm starting to wind down, and you would know the image that popped into my head, remembering that, because I used to see, I knew Kathy, of course. I knew Tom and
Beautiful
Laura
Kathy.
out
Yep.
there all the time. So I used to see Tom and Lolo all the time.
Tom and Lolo, yeah.
Yeah, and the whole squad, and they knew me as the SCA guy.
Yeah.
So I could come out there and have fun and walk around and enjoy it, and I didn't have to be in full. I didn't have to be in armor or kilt or anything else, but I could have fun and enjoy and just partake.
I attended Tom and Lolo's wedding. I was
Yeah.
there. I have pictures. Long before phones, we had to like sneak our cameras, and of course, I met the coffee Tom and Tim and Donnie. I'm closest to Donnie. I love Tom and Tim, and then there's of course Christy and Annie. And I met Annie. I met Donnie first because Donnie was in Shahi Tukri, and I was in Bedlam Bells. And Donnie and I and Tom Cooper, and Tom Coffee, and Big Bill Meldrum, Babalu, we were the dudes, and Rico, we all hung out when the women kind of, they were friendly sometimes and they were not so friendly sometimes. But the dudes all kind of hung out. And meeting Donnie in '93, Paul and I just kind of hung out with him forever because Donnie is brilliant and just fucking cool. And anyway, we can go on and on about Donnie. But that's how I met Tom, was through Donnie because they were all.
Well, and Lunk was a part of that crew as well.
I probably
'Cause-
met Lunk, but I don't
Yeah.
realize I've met him. Like,
Lunk knew Tom and Lolo and Chris and Kathy and the whole 9 yards because they all knew each other from Tempe as well, and from Better Living Through Chemistry.
no, I wasn't in because I heard like Brent and yeah, they all talk about their chemical year. Like, no, I wasn't involved in that.
Yeah,
The
some of
heaviest
them
I like to
lived-
travel is mushrooms. No, I
Yeah.
don't do.
Some of them tried to learn more about the chemistry than they ever should have or wanted to,
Some of
and
their-
later came to understand that they never wanted to learn about it again. So
Yeah, you don't need to know the mechanics of the universe. Just enjoy the ride. It's all right. It's okay.
that's right. I'm the one that needed to know the mechanics of the universe. That was because I was the one that had to push whatever was necessary to interrupt the mechanics of
Yeah.
the universe.
Are we?
I-
We're past.
I was the one that used to show up to the house the day after the party with the big fire truck out front because I knew the party had happened the night before. My partner and I would go in just to make sure there were survivors.
Yeah.
And then we'd leave so that the neighborhood could all come over later and say, "Is everybody all right? We saw the ambulance. We saw
Yeah.
the ambulance." Yeah,
It's gonna be
they just come over
okay.
to make sure we're okay.
So many years.
So I'm
Oh.
going to go turn into a pumpkin.
Oh, okay. Well,
Gretchen is looking at me right now like, "What the hell's the matter with you?"
Dad, like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. We are the Supreme Council of the Master Geeks Lodge. Thank you. Tune in next week. Stay geeky. You could have watched anybody, but you decided to watch us. We appreciate that. Do you guys have any plugs?
Like and
No, leave
subscribe.
anything in the
Like and,
leave anything
and
in the comments.
subscribe. At some point in time, maybe we'll even start handing out some of those cards we developed.
Yeah.
You guys can like and leave comments too. And so glad to have Ron join us for episode 31. Hopefully, thank you very much. All right. You guys have a wonderful night. I'm tired.
Yes, do.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Stop
Take
recording
care.
the stream.